Now calling to order the September 25th, 2024 meeting of the Center City Schools Board. First item on the agenda is public comment on closed session items. This is for public comment specifically on our B items. B1, student expulsions. B2, conference with legal counsel on existing litigation. B3, conference with legal counsel on anticipated litigation. And do we have any comment cards?
President Medina, there is no blue cards or public comment.
Seeing no public comment on any of those items, we will now recess into closed session. We are now reconvening the September 25th, 2024 meeting of the Center City Schools Board. If I may have everybody please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and then remain standing for our territorial land acknowledgement. Now, if you'll please remain standing for our territorial land acknowledgement, being done tonight by our student board member, Omez Zuniga.
Hello, testing. Okay, awesome. I acknowledge that the Center of the City Schools is on the traditional territory and homelands of the Pumo people, traditional territory and homelands of the Coast Miwok people, and honor with gratitude that the land itself and the people who have stewarded it throughout the generations. This land acknowledgement calls us to commit to continuing to learn how to be better stewards of the land we inhabit. By offering this land acknowledgement, we affirm Indigenous sovereignty and will work to hold Santa Rosa City Schools more accountable to the needs of American, Indian, and Indigenous peoples. In Spanish, reconoció que las escuelas de la ciudad de Santa Rosa se encuentran en el territorio tradicional y las tierras natales del pueblo Pomo. El territorio tradicional y las tierras natales del pueblo Miwok y de la costa y honoró con gratitud la misma tierra misma y las personas que han cuidado y administrado a lo largo de las generaciones. Este reconocimiento de las tierras nos llama a comprometernos a seguir aprendiendo cómo ser mejores administradores y cuidar de la tierra que habitamos. Al ofrecer este reconocimiento de las tierras, afirmamos la soberanía indígena y trabajaremos para que las escuelas de la ciudad de Santa Rosa sean más responsables ante las necesidades de los pueblos indígenas y nativos. Gracias.
Thank you. You may all now be seated. Gracias. We will now move on to item C3, reports of action taken in closed session. There were no actions taken. Items C4, items considered in closed for action in open session. We have our B1 items, student expulsions. Can I have a motion on case number 2024-01?
I move to approve. Second.
Moved by trustee McNally, seconded by trustee Manietti. Can we have a vote, please?
Trustee McNally. Aye. Trustee Manieri.
Aye.
Trustee De La Cruz.
Aye.
Trustee De La Torre.
Aye.
President Medina.
Aye. Can I entertain a motion on case 2024/25-02?
I move to approve.
Second.
Moved by trustee McNally, seconded by trustee Manietti. May we have a vote, please?
Trustee McNally. Aye. Trustee Manieri.
Aye.
Trustee De La Cruz.
Aye.
Trustee De La Torre.
Aye.
President Medina.
Aye. May I have a motion on case 2024/25-04?
I move to approve.
Second.
Moved by trustee McNally, seconded by trustee La Torre. May I have a vote, please?
Trustee McNally. Aye. Trustee De La Torre.
Aye.
Trustee De La Cruz.
Aye.
Trustee Manieri,
Aye.
President Medina.
Aye. Now we will move on to item B5, statements of abstention. Board, any statements of abstention?
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm having a hard time pulling up my agenda. President Mangini, you have it in front of you.
That's everyone. Wait.
I will be abstaining on the vote related to remuneration for student board members.
So trustee De La Cruz abstaining on F7 and F8. Any other board member abstentions? Seeing none, adjustments to the agenda. Any adjustments, board? Trustee La Torre?
I'd like to pull G8, 9, and 10, please.
Okay, any other items to adjust? Any objections to pulling G8, 9, and 10? Is there any objections to approving the agenda with the adjustments? Seeing none, okay, the agenda's moved forward. Okay, so now we will move on to our D items, our reports. We'll start off with California School Employee Association, Santa Rosa Chapter 75 report. President Mary Lehman, are you here? Oh, there she is. Floor is yours.
I am here with all of our members. Thank you, everyone, for coming tonight. This is delightful. Good evening, President Medina, Governing Board, student board members, cabinet members, and everyone else listening tonight. Welcome and thank you to the classified staff who came tonight to show the district that we care and we will not tolerate the district's promise to delay an equitable salary, something that administrators, teachers, and walk-ons have been receiving since July 1st. We are not here just wishing and hoping and planning and dreaming. We are demanding that the district treat us fairly and equally. We will continue making a difference in the lives of the students we serve because we care. Accountability is a core value that can help build trust among staff and team members. When accountability is a core value, mistakes are owned and corrected, and trust is not lost. SRCS has not been accountable. We have lost trust. We do not feel the belonging, but we will continue to be engaged and empowered. Catherine Howell will cover the board items that we usually comment on, but I would like to read a poem. The raise we deserve. We rise each day before the sun, clock in before the world's begun, with hands that toil, with hearts that care, yet every year the cupboard's bare. We keep the wheels of progress spinning, yet when it's time for equal winning, the doors are closed, the ears are deaf. To our fair call, we're left bereft. They tell us, wait, the funds aren't there, but raises come from everywhere. For others, quicker without delay, we stand and fight another day. We ask, but all we hear is no. Our worth, it seems, they'll never show. Yet still we work, we push, we strive, keeping this whole place alive. We won't back down, we won't resign. Our time will come. Our fight is divine. For in our hands, the truth we hold, we're more than numbers, more than gold. So hear us now, our voices rise. We won't be fooled by hollow lies. For all we do, for all we give, we fight to earn the wage we live. Everybody stand up. With courage and compassion, thank you.
Thank you, President Lehman. We will now move on to D2, Santa Rosa Teachers Association report. President Catherine Howell, floor is
Good
yours.
evening. I'm gonna lower this. I'm Catherine Howell, SRTA President, representing about 900 teachers. Good evening, President Medina, Deputy Superintendent August, members of the board, members of the public. I'm just going to start by saying SRTA stands 100% continually, always behind our classified staff. We cannot do our jobs without them. And teachers desperately need our CSEA brothers and sisters to be treated fairly in their bargain and get back to the table and give them what they deserve and need. I also want to go on and talk a little bit about Chromebooks. You might be thinking, what's that got to do with anything on our board agenda tonight? It has a lot to do with it. Santa Rosa City Schools might be a one-to-one district. We hear otherwise. Ed Services says, no, we're not. Our website actually says that we are. Either way, Chromebooks are definitely instructional materials to our teachers. They're distributed to our students at 3rd, 7th, and 9th grade. If you, as a teacher, have a classroom where some of the kids have a Chromebook and some of them don't, they don't have the instructional materials they need to function in the classroom. I know there's budget constraints, but we also are faced with this dichotomy of having students, some of our students with Chromebooks and some of them without. And that ties right into the 4 agenda items tonight about the Williams reports and the textbooks and instructional materials sufficiency. Not one mention of Chromebooks, not one mention of the fact that, no, we don't have sufficient numbers. And yes, we do have teachers that are being told, well, if some of the kids in your room don't have a Chromebook, you can just give them print materials from what the other kids will be looking at on their Chromebooks. So that's an equity issue that teachers shouldn't have to be facing. If you want some argument, because we were told, SRTA was told that Chromebooks are in fact not instructional materials. If you look at the SRCS website, it says they are. It says in big black letters, one-to-one Chromebook program. It says the student district issued devices are a key instructional material component of Santa Rosa City Schools educational program. And then it goes on to inform parents that under Ed Code, because these are instructional materials, the district can actually charge them when Chromebooks are lost and broken. So they are compared to textbooks multiple ways, multiple times on our website. Yet when teachers ask why Chromebooks can't be included in the Williams settlement sufficiency numbers, we're told it's because they're not instructional materials. So that is something that needs to be dealt with, needs that dichotomy needs to be addressed and issued. I'd like to move on to the 2 board items tonight, talking about the board bylaw changes. And you know, it's a hot button. I know you guys have all heard it. The student board members and the changes there. First of all, SRTA supports having 2 student board members on the board. I think that's a great idea. I know there are other boards around the county that have multiple students, and it's always good to hear from more than one student. We do have a little bit of an issue with the way that the bylaw was written. I understand that that might be changed in terms of which high schools and how often that rotation happens for those 2 students. So I look forward to hearing the changes that would be proposed. The way it's written of having 1 student represent 2 high schools rotating and the other student representing 4 rotating high schools doesn't seem to be a lot of parity there. And also speaking of parity and tying it back to all these people in the room, you're proposing to pay these 2 student board members about $13,000, not each, but together cumulatively for a school year. When you're offering to pay these teachers not 1 cent of an increase to their salary. Sorry, these CSEA people that classified, right? They're teachers in their own way, trust me. And where is that coming from and how is that an equity? That's definitely equity that we're looking at. And if we're looking at it in terms of parity amongst the students themselves, I'm not denying that the student board members have a hard job. They have to do a lot of prep work. These are grueling meetings. I sit through them all as well. And it's a lot of time, it's a lot of commitment, and it is really very much giving to the community and to the school. It is a community service, without a doubt. Our student athletes give to their schools, they give back to their community, they support other students, our performing arts students, student leadership, the ASB kids at every single one of our schools are supporting their community, they're supporting other students. What about the Best Buddies programs at 2 of our high schools? Those kids are volunteering hours and hours and hours of their time, and they're giving back to their community, and they're supporting their schools, and none of them get paid. So how is it that the student board member is that much more important than all of these hundreds of kids giving thousands of hours to make their schools and Santa Rosa a better place every day? So we are not in favor of that. We do support giving our student board members credit for an elective. That's absolutely fair. But no, unless you're going to pay every single student in this district that does something for their community, I don't personally believe an SRTA does not support student board members being paid. Thank you.
Thank you, President Howe. We will now move on to superintendent report. Filling in for superintendent today is Lisa August. Floor is yours.
Thank you, President Medina. Thank you for the opportunity to stand in Dr. Morales' stead today. She is out this week attending to her family and celebrating her granddaughter. I'm grateful for the opportunity to be able to provide you an update on her activities. We've been working on our safety framework and administrative training. On September 17th, we trained 93 district administrators on the Essential 5 and Incident Command in a trainer of trainers mode, as they will then present it to their schools. We shared the safety framework we are developing, and this framework shows who is the champion for each of the various areas. The Essential 5 is a county-wide, all of the districts in the county are rolling out consistent language related to safety. We thank both SRTA and CSEA for assisting with the change in our professional development schedule. November 1st, Professional Development Day, will be simultaneous safety training at all schools on the Essential 5 and Incident Command. Each principal has a co-presenter from the district teams who will help facilitate the training. And at the October 15th all administrator meeting, we'll be providing each principal and their co-presenter with the slide deck and materials that they will use to train all of their site staff on November 1st. January 31st will now be our district-wide professional development day, during which all staff will participate at Santa Rosa High School. This was originally scheduled for November 1st, and the changes in dates do not affect the instructional calendar. Our teams are also currently updating the status of the SART action plan under each pillar and related action and activity. So that report will be forthcoming about that as well. Thank you again.
Thank you, Ms. August. Now we'll move on to me, President Report. First off, I'd like to start off by saying that I enjoyed being at LC Allen last Thursday for back to school night. I had a lot of good conversations with parents. It was good seeing students out there. They took a different approach where basically it was departments tabling together instead of parents going to each individual classroom. So that was a different approach that I thought was interesting and cool, and allowed more people to kind of allow the colleagues to collaborate. So I thought that was interesting. That same day was also the day that SCO and the Schools Rural Foundation issued about a little over $130,000 in grants to schools throughout the county, included a lot of our schools, to the foundations of various of our schools. And so hopefully that'll have a lot of, well, at least some impact on our students. Basically, the formula that they used was about $2 per student for each school. So I just want to send out a thank you to the Schools Rural Sonoma County for supporting our schools in that way. That said, I think I'll save my comments on other issues for later in the agenda, but I actually did want to quickly address President Howe and the issue on the Chromebooks. I think that's definitely an important issue. I know that it's been an issue that we've been discussing with Superintendent Morales. Well, at least I've been discussing, and I know it's being addressed. We're trying to find money for it because wasn't something that's budgeted in the past, and we're trying to figure out how we can deal with the issue. So it's definitely a topic of conversation, something that's critically important. And I'll have to look more into why it's not included in the Williams instructional materials items. So with that said, board members, any comments? Trustee La Torre and Trustee De La Cruz after.
Good evening. Thank you. Thank you, President Medina. Thank you, community, for being with us tonight. I had a great day last Thursday on the 19th. It started with our first Superintendent Cafecita hosted by Biella. Thank you, Biella, very much. And it was just a great opportunity to be in community for a couple hours and engage with parents and staff and answer some questions that are on your minds and get to know this new superintendent. And I thought I look forward to more of those happening within our community. I want to thank all of the high schools for great back to school nights last Thursday. I was busy being a parent at Korea that night, but I made sure to get to all the other high schools in the afternoon and check in. And happy to hear that Elsie Allen and Pioneer were doing something a little different than the norm and just creating community, involving community. And from what I heard, it went well on both sides. And a lot of that happens through our staff, period. So thank you guys for stepping in and stepping up and having a presence for our students, for our families, and for providing environments that our kids want to be at. The room is full of classified. I see you. I hear you. I respect you. We'll continue to work with you and do what we can to work collaboratively as a team. Mary and your team, I spent some time with you and got to see firsthand the Chromebooks and what you guys are dealing with. And it is quite a mountainous task. And I'm glad I got to see that. And I'm glad I got information to share with other people within the district to start asking those questions on what we can do to be better. What can we do to be better prepared and not just rely on a handful of backs to do such a mountainous task to get those things operational and back in our students' hands. So thank you for all your efforts. Thank you for doing what you're doing. Continue to show up at these meetings and talk about what you need to talk about so that we can hear it and help make decisions.
Trustee De La Cruz.
Adding my voices to those who are thanking all of the ways in which staff came together to create back to school nights that were really accessible to all parents. So special thanks to Santa Rosa High School, where I spent last week at back to school night, who actually had an entire separate room for Spanish speaking parents. That is literally the definition of belonging, right? To allow people to really participate in receiving information in a way that's going to make it truly accessible, to not require people to kind of like identify themselves. Do you need translation? Usually asked in English, ironically. And so I just really want to lift up, you know, the kind of work that it takes to create those spaces for folks who are truly, really deeply engaged in their kids' education, and who I know so many express gratitude for what it felt like to be in a space that, you know, was fully accessible to them. And then just, again, thanks to all of the staff who stuck around for many hours after school to talk with us, to answer great questions, and to just continue supporting our kids through really critical years of their lives. Also want to just lift up that last week was National School Register to Vote week that kicked off a lot of really cool efforts throughout our schools, making sure that we have kids who are on the verge of being able to participate as, you know, full citizens and residents in our community, and doing that is really exciting in our community. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other board member reports? Want to defer to Lisa to provide a little more update on Chromebooks.
Yes, President Howell, Adrian Bika will be reaching out to get some specifics on actual student classrooms, because I know that we actually do have enough to start the year with. So that's some definite follow-up. Thank you.
And we'll move on to student board member report. Gardenia, after you just broke a course record.
Okay. Hi all. Thank you for coming tonight. I'm sweaty because I just ran. Santa Rosa beat Annalee 29-26. It was awesome. So good news, voter registration at Santa Rosa High School is going on right now. It started on Monday and it's gonna go until Friday. Youth Activism Club is working towards making sure that all of our students 16 to 17 are having the ability to pre-register so that they receive ballots when they're 18. They can vote in the next local and presidential elections. As for 18-year-old seniors, we're making sure that they are registered to vote so that they can vote in this year's election. Upcoming fall performances for our performing arts around the district are coming up. So choir, band, orchestra, dance, etc. Please attend so that you can really see how talented our students are and how much heart they put into their passions. And also support the organizations they belong to, because a lot of these organizations go places and perform in contests that do require pay. President Howe, I have totally experienced the Chromebook issue firsthand. I've gone through 8. All of them are faulty. They're broken and this in dire need of fixing the system. So I acknowledge that. As for the paid board membership, a board member, student board member pay, I know that I was not involved in the creation of the policy. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Student Board Member O'May. So we will now be moving on to public comments on non-agenda items as well as consent items that haven't been pulled. I have blue cards. If you have a comment, make sure to submit a blue card. Given the amount that I have, Melanie, I think we're gonna go ahead and do the 3 minutes. So I'm gonna call out 3 people at a time. When you hear your name, go up to one of the podiums and or be ready to go up next. First, I have Councilwoman Jackie Elward, followed by Gary Arkoff, and then Kathy Basson.
Good evening, everybody. Chair, President Omar, and the rest of the team. We are here again. We are going to continue to educate ourselves, each other, the parents, the student, and the community about the injustice that is happening in Santa Rosa City School. The time is now to offer a fair raise to classified workers who are the backbone of the school system. Just imagine tomorrow they don't show up. What's gonna happen? And I hope, since you guys are talking and taking your sweet time, that you will give our bargaining team everything, I mean, everything we are asking for. No negotiation, right? Because you guys are taking too long. And look at the room is filled of people that are coming begging. We should not beg because the work that we do every single day is seen by everybody. So, the students are here, the parents are here, and we are here. I should have been with my children at home. But guess what? You guys took away that time, that precious time that I have to spend time with my children, to come and plead for something that we shouldn't have been pleading. So, out of good faith, right? We are waiting. As long as you guys take, we are also gonna make sure that, again, our bargaining team come with the results that we're expecting from you guys, right? Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Elward. Next, I have Gary Arkoff, followed by Kathy Basson, followed by Samantha Sharp.
Good
Gary?
evening, Board and Mr. President. Thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Gary Arkoff, and I'm a family engagement facilitator at Santa Rosa High School. This is my 7th school year. I spent 6.5 years as a campus supervisor. I'm speaking this evening because I am angry. I listened to the board's remarks last week when you said nice things about how you respected what we were doing and you understood the value of what we're doing. And, you spoke about how you appreciated our work. But then I heard back from my team that your position has not changed and you still don't have a raise for us. You don't even have a raise proposal for us. You won't even have a raise proposal for us until December. And I think that I can tell you that the sentiment, while it's nice, the words are a little thin. They feel a little thin to me. I understand that our district is short of funds. And but it feels to me like the district, this board is not acting in good faith. In my previous career, I was a negotiator. It's what I did for a living. And one technique that can be used is to tell people one thing and stall for time while you really mean something else. And there's no way to know if that's what's going on. If you really stand with our classified employees, why is it that you're not making us good faith offer? Why is it that all we've received is this hollow sounding promise? It's been said before, but I'm going to state it again. The classified employees are a critical part of each school. We clean the bathrooms, we make sure the attendance is correct, we make sure our students are safe, and we provide a comfortable environment for our students to come and learn and feel protected. We talk a lot about one trusted adult, that each student should have one trusted adult. I'm confident that for hundreds of Santa Rosa City School students, if not thousands, that one trusted adult is a classified employee. I know that's the case at my school. The school board has a duty and an obligation to help make sure our students get an education, are safe and comfortable, and have an environment in which they can learn. Can you imagine for just a moment what our schools would look like without the classified staff? As I mentioned ago, this is my 7th year, and my job requires Spanish-English translation. I looked it up, and I'm in the 25th percentile for Sonoma County. 3 out of 4 people make more money than I do, and this is after 6 years of service. What's more, because this is my 7th school year, I do not stand to get a raise for 3 more years. When I was at the meeting the other day, and there were 5 other classified employees, and I did the math. I had more tenure than all of them. So I'd like to close. I looked up in Merriam-Webster's the definition of a hypocrite. Merriam-Webster defines a hypocrite as a person who acts in contradiction to his or her stated beliefs or feelings. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. Next, I have Kathy Basson, followed by Samantha Sharp, followed by Kristen Colgrove. Kathy?
Good evening. My name is Kathy Bassini. I've worked for Santa Rosa City Schools for 19 years, and I've been the administrative assistant at Pioneer High School for 11 and a half. I have to tell you that I find it appalling that you still haven't given us an offer. We were told that you needed to look at the numbers and that you would give us an offer in December. The district has employees that look at the numbers. That's all they do. You've been looking at the numbers for a long time. This isn't something additional that you have to do. Weren't you looking at the numbers when the board and the administrators and the teachers got their raises? I think you were. It feels like you're going to offer us leftovers. And the disrespect is horrible. This is a very expensive place to live. We have members who are poor. They're so poor they have to work multiple jobs. They must watch every penny they spend. They didn't go out to eat or to the movies. We have to think twice about going to the ER because it will cost around $2,000 just to walk in the door and get minimal care in case of an emergency. It's not our fault if the district has overspent. But it feels like you're making us pay for it. According to Martin Luther King, life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? We have moral, ethical obligations to speak up and protect one another. All of us are responsible, including the board. The board is responsible for providing us with a living wage and so that we don't live in poverty. We are so much more than numbers on a spreadsheet.
Thank you. Next, we have Samantha Sharp, followed by Kristen Colgrove, followed by Carrie Taylor. Samantha?
Everybody, my name's Samantha Sharp. Everybody has a lot of wonderful things to say. I generally have a whole thing written out. I think it's very clear that at this point, those that are negotiating with us and the board members aren't really listening. And if they are, they're not in a place to make any changes to what we are begging for. What I will say in the meantime is that I do really urge all of the board members and the cabinet members and superintendents and anybody who is in a position to make decisions for us to come to our offices. You come to our schools, you come to our classrooms, you talk to our administrators. I have never once had anybody come into my office and ask me what I do, shadow me for the day. I guarantee you do not know the daily tasks that each of your classified staff do at every single site. It's said time and time again, we are the ones who are enrolling your students. We are the ones who are making sure that attendance is correct and ADA is actually given for the students that are present and on campus. We are the ones who are making sure our students are safe. We are the ones who are cleaning the bathrooms and making sure that every product that students need and all of their learning materials are provided for them. Yet we are the ones who are consistently forgotten. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I have Kristen Colgrove, followed by Carrie Taylor, followed by April Casarati. Kristen?
Hi, I'm Kristen Colgrove. I'm the office manager at Hidden Valley Elementary School. I recently celebrated maybe 17 years in this district. I love my students. I love my families. I love my colleagues, but I do not love having to come here once again and remind you that we, the classified employees, are the backbone of this organization. Without us, you cannot stand. Write that down.
Thank you. Next, we have Carrie Taylor, followed by April Casarati, followed by Portia Rodriguez. Carrie?
Good evening. My name is Carrie Taylor. I'm a restorative specialist at Biella Elementary. I facilitate proactive classroom circles. I facilitate responsive circles. I'm a call away if students are having meltdowns or they need a break, or if they self-refer and just want to talk. Besides my role as a restorative, I'm on site council, a board member with the PTA. I help at all school events. But what I'm really here to say is that schools can't run without the classifieds. We're the IAs, the yard duties, the office staff, family engagement, student engagement, library tech 2s, kitchen staff, custodians, and so much more. We deserve a raise like everyone else. And I'm appalled that we are your last thought because you never forget your admins or your teachers or the directors or the board members and so on. So I'm asking you, please, 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 think about us first for a change. Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie. Next, I have April Casarati, followed by Portia Rodriguez, followed by Adina Flores. April?
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Good evening, board. My name is April Casarati, and I've been teaching at the district for nearly 20 years. I'm passionate about my job and my students and my community here in Sonoma County. I was born and raised in Petaluma and attended public schools there. My daughter currently attends high school in Petaluma. I chose to send my children to public schools and teach at public schools because this county has a very special place in my heart. I'm speaking to you tonight regarding an issue that has come up again and again of our ever-rising violence and safety in our local school districts and throughout schools across the country. My hope is that I don't come across pointing fingers because I know that we all want our school communities to be safe and for students' learning environments to excel and thrive. And what we do know to be true is that students can't excel or thrive if they're in a fight or flight or trauma state. As parents and staff, we are notified weekly via Parent Square regarding yet another threat to violence. Whether it be real or fake, it is a threat and it is very triggering. In 2008, when I started teaching for the district, all 5 high schools had SROs. The SRO dedicated to Maria Carrillo was Officer Messerschmidt at the time, and he spent his time mentoring and connecting and building relationships with students and staff. In 2011, I transferred to LC Allen, meeting Officers Macias and AJ, and both professionals assisted with de-escalation, were bilingual and bicultural, were respected by both the students and the staff, and they looked up to them for advice and guidance. In 2014, we had a lockdown at LC Allen due to protesters marching on our campus. June 2020, our SROs were removed as part of an effort to confront racial biases in the criminal justice system. March 2023, a student at Montgomery was brutally stabbed on campus and later tragically died. April 2024, a naked woman covered in blood walked onto the Petaluma High campus and into the gym suffering a major mental health crisis, smearing her blood on the gym floor. August 2024, a 14-year-old boy stabbed a 13-year-old boy on the LC Allen campus. These are campus circumstances that I'm familiar with, and there are likely many more and that I don't know about, and that is why I'm here today addressing the board. The SROs must be reinstated to secure the safety of all of our school campuses. March 2024, as I understand, the city of Santa Rosa rescinded their offer via a pilot program to cover costs to pay for our SROs, and now the possible return remains to be seen. In closing, my worst fear is that something could happen to my daughter at her school or to any student or staff member here in our county. The safety and well-being of our students and staff should not be something we work towards, but more of a foundation we need to safeguard the promise of our future. And this is a quote from my daughter, who will be turning 18 next week. The districts are reactive and need to be proactive. Law enforcement
you.
needs to be present
Your
at
time
all
is up.
times, not just when.
Your time is up. Thank you. But overall. I did want to add, I did receive your email last night, April. I will follow up sometime within the week. Thank you. Oh, I just said I did receive your email last night. I'll try to follow up. So thank you for that. And I'll just add that we're in the process right now of scheduling our next meeting with the city on the SRO MOU. Next, I have Portia Rodriguez, followed by Dina Flores, followed by Sandy Rojas.
Hello, good evening. My name is Portia Rodriguez, and I am the restorative specialist for Santa Rosa French American Charter. I'm here today to talk about the work that I do every day. I show up, my door is open to every single person in my school, teacher, student, anyone, parent. I spend hours with my students listening to them when they need to vent, to build their confidence when their self-esteem is at the ground level or below, to guide them through difficult conversations, to help them navigate interpersonal conflicts, to support them, to believe in them, and to teach them that their actions have impacts that are greater that they realize. The district's action to not give us a raise to the classified staff has an enormous impact on hundreds of people who work so hard every day. And it's exactly what I teach the kids, to understand how much their actions have impact. I am worried that the pressing budget crisis will affect my livelihood and my passion. Not only would it uproot myself, but it would affect the students who need people like me, to teach them that there are better ways to solve their conflicts. My position prepares them to navigate the world so that when they become young working professionals, they are able to have hard conversations with composure and respect. Restoratives are essential, and we deserve to be treated as such, as well as the rest of the classified staff. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I have Adina Flores, followed by Sandy Rojas, followed by Tina Rogers. Flores.
Good evening, board. Once again, the classified staff, as we can see, are here because they haven't gotten a raise. Before I was pushed out as your executive assistant to the board and superintendent, I personally offered to take a pay cut so that our classified staff could be more. I didn't need to be making $120,000 a year in my position. That's absolutely ridiculous. I appreciate it. It's not necessary. Why can't we pay our classified staff more? So let's talk about why. Our enrollment rates are down, right? Because the violence is escalating out of control. So today, what did I learn? Basically, you guys have been paying our students stipends to indoctrinate them. That is disgusting. So right away, we appointed Miss Dela Cruz's son to the school board. He is paid through an internship through Latino service providers. Miss Manieri, our trustee, is the executive director. You have them
This is,
to think that police
that's
are-
inaccurate information, Ms. Flores. Please keep it pertaining to the district in terms of what we actually do.
I can send it to the district attorney. Thank you. So when we have students that are getting paid to show up here and say that police are unsafe, they are your personal family members. That is so illegal. Absolutely not. Miss Dela Cruz, you share a mortgage with Manieri's aunt. You guys are literally contracted with nonprofits to show up here and advocate against police on campus. And that is why the enrollment rates are low, because you are indoctrinating these students. That's absolutely disgusting. I don't understand how you guys can live with yourselves.
Again, pertinent to the board, please.
This is pertinent. I'm talking about y'all. You. What is not pertinent to the board?
Continue.
What is not pertinent? Thank you. So please stop interrupting me. So again, back to what I was saying. Thank you, Mr. Medina. Why are we contracting with nonprofits to pay ourselves? Because Miss Alegria de la Cruz, you guys want to take stipends. Homegirl is making nearly $300,000 a year at the county, and then wants a stipend to sit up here and do what? To indoctrinate our kids so she can get nonprofit funding? So I encourage you guys to look at yourselves wholeheartedly. I know you won't. Mr. Medina, you're still under investigation with the state. You have been for 2 years. Also, Mr. Hernandez, the board president for SCO, guess what? He just had his hearing. He was in charge of the Made in Santa Rosa Foundation that is through this district. I had been asking to see their IRS tax forms for 3 years. They didn't file with the IRS. So guess what? He just got fined $1,600 because of me. And you guys know that now if I am to file a lawsuit, which I plan on it, you owe me bread. So I suggest you either cut me my check or I'll be here every meeting. God bless you. Get your act together.
Thank you, Ms. Flores. And just to clarify on the investigation on me, it's based on a complaint from Ms. Flores where I reported income on the wrong form during a conflict of interest. So it's just a matter of changing the income to the proper form. Ms. Sandy Rojas, followed by Tina Rogers, followed by Maria Chaparro Sanchez. Sandy?
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, board. I don't have anything prepared per se, but in listening to the conversation about Chromebooks, I felt like I had to stand up and say something because I was an instructional materials technician, which is the person who distributes all the instructional materials at James Monroe Elementary School. And Chromebooks are definitely instructional materials because there was a very big deal made of who was going to do the work to actually pass the Chromebooks out. And that was not in our job description when Chromebooks came into the picture. So because they were labeled and purchased under the instructional materials, they then became the responsibility of the IMTs, or now our name has changed to Library Tech 2s. So if that clears something up for you. The other thing that I would like to say about Chromebooks is that I think that we're in this situation with Chromebooks being broken and not having enough money to fix them because of a lack of training and procedures. And that's something that I see throughout the district, not just in this particular situation, but there's no training when things get rolled out. The same way with other curriculum that gets put into a program called Destiny. We don't train our classified employees. we're always told that there isn't enough money for the training. And it's like one person training somebody else who doesn't know what they're doing. And so there aren't procedures set before the things are rolled out. And then there's lack of training. And because of a lack of training, there's no documentation of why the Chromebooks are broken, and the fees are not charged to the students. And so we're not collecting any money, or very little, for the Chromebooks that have been broken. So what I would hope and like to see is more training and things being rolled out with procedures in place before they're actually distributed, not in a big rush. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rojas. And I do want to add to your comments that this is kind of an issue that we recently identified. The establishment of a new technology plan is something that we're working on. That we started off with Superintendent Morales when she came in. So that's something that's in the works that hopefully will address that issue. Next, I have Tina Rogers, followed by Maria Chaparro Sanchez, followed by Diego Argueta. Tina?
All right, I'm right here. Hi, good evening, buenos noches. I would like to say happy Latino Heritage Month. I would like to say, I want to start there. I kind of always like find myself here, like in some of the most heated topics and debates, and I just kind of walk in saying hello to everyone. So obviously we're here for children. I'm an educator, but I'm like a little different educator. I'm not certified, I'm not classified. I'm not certified because I lack education or the ability to, because I did grow up here and then go to UC Davis. But I'm one of those people that was like, you know what? We need to drive to every district. I'm in San Francisco, I'm in Mill Valley, I'm in Nicasio, Bodega Bay, I'm in Bennett Valley, Santa Rosa City Schools, Santa Rosa French American Charter School, like a whole bunch of things, Davis, Joint Unified. And what I do know is that it takes a village to raise children. We're not talking about just like, you know, bathrooms or administration or teachers or training. We're talking about the world. It is very, very important that each and all of us understand that how important it is to raise children. It does not matter what background it is. It does not matter our color, de colores. Most of the things that we prefer to do is to pass on. So I would like to say thank you, Mr. Zuniga, for being here, for being student-led, and you keep going however you like and however you want to. Okay, so we want to make sure that we're always going to put our children and our students first, regardless of what side of the fence they sit on. I do know that it's very, very important that people do get paid. Some of us have a lifestyle that maybe, you know, parents pay. I'm one of those people that maybe if the parents don't pay me, and you know, right now I think at Santa Rosa French American Charter School, not to say it, I think it's $180 that parents will pay just for having me for an 8-week session. So I would like to say thank you all of you, but that's all I get. I'm not certified, I'm not classified, but I understand. So we need to figure this out and stop arguing and bickering when it's unnecessary. Now, I would like to say, oh, to all of our indigenous people from around the whole entire planet, that's another reason why we're here. But also, let's not forget, I'm here because in January 2025, we have the Sonoma County Martin Luther King birthday celebration. And we are asking that all of the students, not just Santa Rosa City schools, but everyone in Sonoma County, let's make sure that our students know that, hey, they can enter a teen essay contest. They can enter a poster art contest. They can do oratorical contest that they can support, that we can do day on, not a day off. You know, maybe if someone, you know, elder needs like help with their raking their leaves or helping with like groceries out of the car, that's why we're here. So I commend everyone for being here, but we all must stay on the right side of history. And again, my name is Tina Rogers, multicultural arts educator, and let's give a very big round of applause for ourselves.
Thank you, Tina. Thank you, Tina. Next, I have Maria Chapman Sanchez, or Chaparro Sanchez, followed by Diego Argueta. Maria?
Buenas noches, mi nombre es María Chaparro Sánchez, tengo 9 años trabajando para el distrito en el área de Child Nutrition Services y yo nada más quiero preguntarle al board referente al aumento. ¿Por qué los clasificados tenemos que vivir en la pobreza? No siempre están diciendo que que ustedes están preocupados por los niños. Muchos de los niños tienen padres que trabajamos en el distrito. Y como no nos aumentan, nos hemos visto orillados a compartir nuestra vivienda. Y si esta situación continúa así, el próximo paso va a ser que yo me vaya a vivir debajo del puente con mis hijos. Tengo 2 hijos dentro del distrito escolar y no me gustaría que ellos vean cómo el dinero no nos alcanza. No nos alcanza ni para la renta ni para la comida. Entonces, yo me pregunto, el board, las personas que integran el board, ¿se sienten muy bien de saber que hay niños que los papás no pueden sobrevivir? Eso es todo. Yo estoy aquí por todos los clasificados, pero principalmente por las food service workers, que no tenemos derecho a hablar, que muchas de mis compañeras no vinieron por la amenaza del director. Al director le dieron un aumentote, casi $150,000 al año, mientras las food service workers tenemos que sobrevivir con $3,000 al mes. Pregúntense, vayan a su casa y pregúntense si esto es correcto, si se sienten muy bien con su conciencia de saber que muchas de nosotros tenemos el siguiente paso, tenemos que ir a vivir debajo del puente. Gracias y buenas noches.
Gracias.
Good night. I'm going to be speaking for Maria. She just wanted to ask board members if you guys to consider giving her a raise. Why is she having to live under a bridge when you guys are getting so many raises? She's here today speaking for herself and for her peers and co-workers that are food service workers that oftentimes they have children in our school systems and they aren't getting paid. Her principal just got a big raise, $150,000 raise. And what is happening with their raise? They deserve a livable wage as well. That is what.
I think just to
Maria said.
clarify, she said her director got a recent raise and was also speaking on behalf of her workers that felt threatened to come and speak. And so it's important to
Okay,
recognize
yes.
that.
To clarify, you are correct. She did say the director of food, child nutrition services, and not the principal at her school.
Thank you. Next I have Diego Argueta.
I speak for myself tonight, not as a part of any organization, not as part of the teachers union, but just for myself. What I'm seeing over the past 4 years in this community is nothing more than division, polarization, the blame game. Every single one of each of you, every single one of you have been playing the blame game for the past 4 years. And look, the teachers union is still on strike. The board hasn't done nothing. Like, what are we doing? Like, ask yourselves, what the hell are we doing? Over the past 4 years, like, I have seen this community grow. I've met many good people. I've met many nice people. But I've also encountered lots of douches and lots of other people that not really are the best type to be around. Now, the main reason why I'm speaking for myself tonight is simple. I'm just appalled. I'm just appalled from all the division I've been seeing. Like, everything doesn't have to be in politics. Yeah, sure. Like, I'm in support of the teachers union. Like, don't get me wrong. I want you to have a better raise. I know many of you right now. I know many of you and their students, and some of them here are my friends. But at the same time, I've also asked myself, don't you think that, maybe you're demanding a bit too much, or that the district is not doing enough, or maybe both of you are just in a deadlock to the point that nothing gets resolved at all. Nothing gets resolved at all if we just point at each other, and that's what we've been doing for the past 4 years. Now even more so after last year's tragedy in Montgomery. I ask all of you, what are we doing? What are we doing? And 1 month and 1 week away, we have election day. We have the power to either remove every single one of the board members and ask yourselves, is it worth it? Is it worth it? Because if you want to remove the board members, it's your choice. Go ahead. Like, I really don't give a damn if you want to. But I ask you, you have the power. All of you have the power, unless you're a minor. Well, then you don't have the right to vote yet. But I'm saying for every one of you, who are eligible to vote, I applaud you. For some of you, it's probably your first year you're ever voting. For some of you, you probably voted for many years, ever since you were 18. Now, on November 3rd, we elect a president, but we also elect and reject or enact many propositions. My final remark is, you guys have the power to vote. Use it wisely. I don't care about your political ideology, just use it wisely. Thank you.
Thank you, Diego. That is all the public comments that I have and comments on non-agenda items and consent items. So with that said, we will move on to our F discussion items. We'll start off with item F1. Approval of resolution proclaiming, well, this says October 14th, 2024. As Indigenous Peoples Day. So I'm gonna take a few minutes to allow people to exit and then we'll get back to this. How about we do a quick 5-minute break? Right, let's get back up and started. So now we're to item F1. Thank you to everybody here. Looks like we have Elizabeth Billy, Donna Fernandez, Donna Feather Cruz, Lillian Bustamante Rodriguez, and Oni Dominguez. Is that correct? One correction that I wanted to put on the item, it says proclaiming October 14th as Indigenous Peoples' Day. It should be October 12th, celebrated on the second Monday. So the resolution reads right, it's just titled wrong. So I wanted to clarify that. So we'll get that fixed when we make the final motion. But with that said, I'll open it up to you to present. Thank you for being here today and being willing.
And is it working? Okay. Yeah, hi, my name is Nijonas Dominguez, and I go to school at Pioneer High School, 11th grade, and Indigenous for Coast Miwok, Kashaya Pomo, and Southern Pomo. And I'm gonna be reading a resolution about Native people. So let's see. The Santa Rosa City Schools Board of Education recognizes that Indigenous people of lands that would later become known as Americans have occupied these lands since time immemorial, and the board values of many contributions made to the community throughout Indigenous people knowledge and labor and technology, science, philosophy, art, and deep cultural contribution that have shaped our district. And the board recognizes that the fact that Santa Rosa City Schools District have built upon the traditional homelands village and uses areas of Pomo and or of this region without Rome, the building of districts would not be possible. And in the district of the missions is to recognize value each student individually and our community culture, wealth, and strategy or strategic plan. Strategic plan, my bad. Prioritize grounding our work in deep understanding of student identities and historical and cultural context in which we all operate, and the idea Indigenous People Day for the first proposed in 1977 by the delegations of Native Nation to United Nations sponsored international conference and discrimination against indigenous population in Americas. And the United States federal government recognizes the Columbus Day and second Monday of October in the accordance with the federal holiday established in 1937. And in the AB 2016, the California legislature has found and declared that the implementation with various athletics studies courses with California's curriculum that are A and G improved, with the objective of preparing pupils to be global citizen with appreciation and contribution and multiple cultures will close the achievement gaps, reduce pupil truancy, increase the pupil enrollment, reduce dropout rates, and the increase the graduation rates. In AB 738, the California legislator has found to declare that the instructional material that incorporates Native American history, culture, and sovereignty and contemporary issues of historic and modern Native Americans, and the relationship of place of historic and modern Native Americans in our diverse governmental, racial, culture communities would provide California children with more complete education and academics preparations and the interact in the today's world. And in Cloverdale Rancheria of Pomo Indians Indians of California, Dry Creek Rancheria, and Band of Pomos Indians, the Federated Indians of Great Rancheria, Kashaya Band of Pomo Indians, and Stewart Point Rancheria, Koi Nation, and Northern California, Lytton Band and Pomo Indians, and Marshall Wapo Indians, and Alexander Valley are tribal nations with roots in the Sonoma County. The Santa Rosa City Schools District Board of Education recognizes October 12th as Indigenous People Day that takes step towards the publishing this day in official district material. And therefore, be it further resolved that district shall celebrate the Indigenous People Day on the second Monday of October as the day used to reflect upon the ongoing struggles of the Indigenous people on this land and celebrate the thriving culture of the value of Miwok, Pomo, Wapo, and other Indigenous nations and people add to our district and country. And therefore, it would be further resolved in honors Indigenous Peoples Day, the district shall commit to invite Cloverdale Rancheria, Pomo Indians of California, Dry Creek Rancheria, Band of Pomo and Indians, Federated Indians, and Great Rancheria, Kashaya bands of Pomos and Indians of Stewart Point Rancheria, Koi Nation, and Northern California, and Lytton Band of Pomo Indians, and Marshall Wapo Indians, and Alexander Valley to participate in providing inputs towards the development of localized Native American studies modern curriculum. My bad. Pass and adopt by the following vote the governing board of Santa Rosa City Schools, Country of Sonoma State of California on September 25th, 2024.
Thank you. Well, let's hope it passes. Lot to read, right? Where's yours?
I speak from the Native Club at Pioneer High School. Hello, my name is Lilian Bustamante Rodriguez. I am from Pioneer High School, and my tribe is the Cloverdale Rancheria Bands of Pomo Indians. I have been a part of the Native Club since freshman year. It has helped me. Being in the Native Club is a way we could communicate with each other and learn to have a great way to interact. In the past 3 years of my high school experience, the Native Club each year has gotten better. It helped me get more involved with my school and my culture. It makes me want to learn about my culture's history and learn from my elders. I would like to hear the stories they have passed down and shared. The Native Club showed us how to make baskets and do beadwork. It's a way we could learn and the best way we could have fun.
Thank you.
I'd just like to thank the board for allowing us to present this important resolution and to recognize and honor the Indigenous people of this county here. Hekatema Huikthen, Donna Fernandez, Ilumbuk, Wimashik Opeted, Wima Ilumbuk. I'm Donna Fernandez. I'm a teacher at Pioneer High School and one of the members of the Indian Education Committee that we have here at Santa Rosa High, or not, Santa Rosa City School District. So thank you again for allowing us to come, and thank you for presenting this. That shows that there is good intentions and a great partnership with the district and recognizing that we are Indigenous people and our students are valuable contributors, valuable people within our district. So we want to thank you for allowing us to be here and to present this.
Thank you.
I'm Elizabeth Billy in Indian Education, but I just wanted to also let the school district know that Friday is California Native American Day. And so when we're thinking about having our resolution and it's about this time, it's our California. So maybe the schools or the district or something could do something or somehow kind of acknowledge that day, even if it's like in your newsletter or something. That would be great for the California, where we're at, right? Our community, more personal. So anyways, that was it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Liz and Donna and students for reading that. My name's Madonna Feather Cruz. I'm the president for the Indian Education. And we have our ceremony scheduled for May 30th, 2025. And I would like to ask for money. Since I've been the sole person like trying to fundraise for that every single year. So it cost us, I believe, $8,000 to put that ceremony on last year or this last school year, so this May. Ms. Dela Cruz did attend and was able to see the function that we put on, our little team. So if there's any money to help us do that, that would be great. And I hope to see more of you show up. I think Ed came as well and took a peek around. So that was the first time to have you guys come. So that was nice for you to see what we do. I do want to also share at our last Indian Ed meeting, Patricia, is that her name, Liz? Patricia presented that the Santa Rosa City School District's Indian education students had the highest graduation rate in the state of California. So our little honoring ceremony that we've been doing for years, honoring the 8th grade students, and then they're able to see what the 12th grade students get, the gifts that we give them in their beaded eagle feather ceremony, it gives them something to look forward to, because that's the feedback they're telling us, is that if I didn't see them being honored, I did not see myself graduating. So it is very important, and so that's why we continue to do it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments before we bring it up to the board for any questions? Any board questions? Okay, sheesh.
So you've all heard me talk about how I want to make sure that our resolutions are not just words, but actually have actions associated with them. And I really love this, idea of creating space for tribal nations and for tribal people to come in and create curriculum, right? It's so the right thing to do to make sure that we're talking to the people about whom we're talking, because they are alive, you are here, you are in our systems, you are our teachers, you are our staff, and you are our students. Liliana, is that your name? One of my favorite moments of all time in Santa Rosa City Schools was watching your little brother Andres, literally school, a park ranger, in the middle of an incredible moment in the Miwok village at Point Reyes. And the park ranger kept on talking about how, well, back in the day, they used to do this, right? Like as if Native people were gone and dead, and this was just history. And Andres kept on saying yeah, no, my granny does that, right? And the park ranger was looking at this child who's actually saying no, I'm here now, right? My people do this here now. And so the park ranger kept on going and was and this is just a grain storage and right? And Andres is yep, that's what it's like in our reservations, in our land, right? They walk over to the longhouse and he's and the park ranger is trying to explain, and Andres is yeah, that's where my aunties dance, and that's where we have ceremony, right? And I am so glad for that moment where the teacher actually turned and she was told the park ranger, actually, we're gonna let Andres talk about his people, right? And what they do, because this is, right? And that's the kind of teaching that I'm so happy to see really developing throughout these systems. And it also just tells me about how beautiful it is to have students like you, right, who lift up their voices and who feel that love and support from their teachers and from their community to say, actually, we're still here, right? Do not erase us. And make sure that, you include us when you talk about us and when you're teaching other people about us. So I am really thrilled to see that piece of the resolution. And my very long-winded question, thank you for the for the grace is, what does that look like and how can people get involved and what is the kind of cadence and how can we help to spread the word to get people, in this beautiful process of co-creating histories, especially when the histories that we've taught have actually caused harm and are false and, create these challenges with kids who are Native or who know their histories and know histories of Native people, right? To like actually know that what they're being taught in many ways is also wrong, right? So like, how do we really kind of spread the word about what the process is going to look like for kids, for community members, and for tribal leaders to come and really co-create this space with us?
We can start out, it can start out as simple as, so Fridays, California Native American Day, or if you took the Indigenous Peoples Day, as far as like all these schools do announcements over the loudspeaker, right? So just an awareness and acknowledgement, like, hey, today is such and such day. And then on that day, have somebody, when they do the Pledge of Allegiance, have them read the land acknowledgement. It could be something as simple as that, that's showing awareness, that's putting feet to words. And then also like, a few years ago, Santa Rosa Middle did like this multicultural day, and it not only honored like Indigenous people, but like other, cultures, and that was awesome. So bringing things like that back to the schools would be awesome. And then also, like you're saying, like the curriculum, and then I have posters, so putting posters up in classrooms. So there's just an awareness on a bulletin board when it's Indigenous Peoples Month, or what do we call it?
Native American Heritage Month.
Native American Heritage Month is what we call it for the Santa Rosa City Schools. So if the board or the principals, if they have a designated bulletin board in their hallway, in their front office, or somewhere that's designated to that, and then putting things, all of these tribes, putting these tribes there, putting a map there, putting a picture. I have 1,000 pictures of us doing, of us, like your students doing cultural things throughout the last 7 years that I've been here. And so I would be willing to share those. And so little things like that really are things that you can help to promote that you're being good stewards. At the middle schools, I've had so far this year, I've had like 3 middle schools on board to allow us to, we're going to plant some sage. And so things like that. But then once we do that, maybe if we just highlight in the newsletter or something like that. So really, it's just about awareness. We're doing a lot of things, and maybe people don't know we're doing a lot of things, and maybe they want to get involved. And so I think, so those are the things, I think, just getting that communication out there. And it doesn't have to be grand things. It doesn't have to be things with a lot of money, but it's the little things, right? And it's all in the detail, and it all works out. So, we do need money, but I'm just saying, we know we don't have any money. So.
I want to
Thank you.
add also, I've been working with the Windsor Unified School District, training them how to do their Indian education. And I have every Thursday, the first Thursday of the month is their family fun night. So my Indian education is supporting those events as well. We post them on our Facebooks because it is open to the public, not only just the Native American community, but the community at large. So we do post that on our Facebook. We post out flyers and stuff. We have stuff going on every month.
Okay.
The other question that I have is, and I want to lift up this work too, that you all do so beautifully, is making sure that Native kids have the ability to identify themselves to the district, right? And to be then welcomed into a circle that you all have created with so much love and care. So I wondered if you could just talk about that process again and make sure that, our community continues to be aware of how important it is to identify yourself, and how that comes with benefits, and it comes with, a community and space for you to, to continue to grow and to learn and to be part of this larger circle.
I think we're on the right track. We're working well with the registrars and to identify. I think some of the issue, we'll get like the paperwork and those things down. Some of the issue when you talk about identifying, there is still historic trauma for a lot of students. And so some of them still are not feeling completely safe to say, I'm Native and want to get involved in Native club or Native activities, because maybe that's something that I say for home and for ceremony, and that's something I do here, and at school I'm something else, because it hasn't really been cool or safe or whatever. And so I think what we're doing and getting students to speak is really kind of bridging that. It's a little bit of a slow process, but I feel like we're on the right track. So I don't, and our, like I said, schools are really stepping up to being aware and knowing that the 506 forms, are needed. And so, we're really on the right track. It's just going to take a little time.
So this goes to the safety and belonging. And so that's like a whole initiative. The safety and belonging we're doing in the Santa Rosa City Schools and stuff. And so that's how we're trying to help like all students identify how comfortable they would like to be to say who they are, well, Indigenous from all over the planet. And so I'm glad that you brought that up. It is very, very uncomfortable for a lot of us, all different cultures, to say who we are, how we identify, what we call ourselves. Just imagine me, my culture, we say, everybody calls us Black. But then if you look at my shirt is black, when my arms are what color? And if you don't want to say brown, then, eventually you're like, oh yeah, after four years old, we know what colors are. So it's the same thing. So that's why we're doing this initiative. And we need all our community partners. And I can say like, and I want to speak for like the Race Collective and a lot of different people, a lot of different organizations that go in, regardless of how you like us, we come in and we do the work. So thank you so much. Thank you so much, Alegria, for bringing that up.
And then I just wanted to close by thanking Donna always for bringing your beautiful language and making, it's so clear how alive these beautiful cultures are. And then reminding people in Sonoma County that our county is the one county in California that has the largest numbers of federally recognized tribes within our jurisdiction. Right. And also a whole lot of folks who are not federally recognized due to institutional genocide and attempts to erase people and take away their sovereignty. And so at the same time, the Native population in the county of Sonoma is 0.9% of our population, which we know is false, right? Given historical trauma and how important it is for us to create spaces that are safe for kids and for families and for people to say, this is something that I claim with love and with pride, because it brings me closer to, to what I need to reconnect to in order to heal and to ask for those things in our institutions, to see us, to serve us better, and to make sure that people are aware and informed about how to act, right? How to behave and how to be respectful. And so I just thank you so much for your beautiful work, always.
I do have another question. Speaking to a teacher who indicated as part of Indigenous Peoples Day, he wanted to try to take students to an event at SRJC on that day. I'm wondering if you know specifically what that event is and what's going on and how students could benefit.
Yeah, so that must be the
Santa Rosa Junior College Indigenous Peoples Day
Is
will
it
be
in-
on October 14th on Monday. I believe it'll be from 10 to 2, sorry, 11 to 3. So it'll be over at Santa Rosa Junior College. It is to recognize Indigenous Peoples Day, and it is a free event. It is open for schools and students to attend or take a field trip. There will be booths out there for Native American vendors. There'll be Indigenous or Pomo dancers that will be out there. There'll be also selling, I think, probably Indian tacos again. Yep. Then the Santa Rosa Junior College also has a student club for Indigenous people. And so they'll be also out there. So, yep.
Yeah, and I will be out there. I will be there and I'll be tabling, but also I believe last year, maybe Cesar Chavez, I thought last year one school came and contributed because they had a dancer. They had a student who was gonna dance, and so they brought a small group. They brought a group, OCCLA. So I believe so if a school can come, or a group or a club can come, as a field trip or come, that would be awesome. That would be really, educational,
He's
we
trying
were
to get
talk-
money. Or a bus.
We need a bus, yeah. So we talk about those, when you go off to learn, we call that leaving to learn, and that's big picture kind of does that, but that's really what our clubs are really wanting to do. If you see the surveys from parents and from students, it's like field trip, field trip, field trip. And so really that equates to leaving a building, leaving a school environment to go learn. And it could be math, it could be whatever, but leaving to learn culture, leaving to go outside those walls and learn. And that's how Indigenous people, Natives, that's how we learned. That's how it was, and so that's one of my goals to do. And so when I present to you, this is supposed to be all about ONI and the resolution, but, when I present my wish list, you'll get it.
Thank you. Appreciate the presentation. I'm going to go to public comment on this item, and then we'll bring it back to the board.
Okay.
First, I have Natalie Long, followed by Adina Flores. You'll have 3 minutes to comment on this resolution. Natalie first.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, I am Natalie Long. I am an assistant at Rankin Valley Middle School. And I started there back in March, but I watch all of the board meetings, and I noticed last May that there was some conversation about needing like the Native American clubs at different school sites. And you guys said that it could be somebody that works there and blah, blah, blah. So that's me. So I stepped up and I got the okay from our principal to start this club. And we've done it. We've had our first meeting on September 9th, and 25 Native American students showed up, and they were eager and excited to be there. And like, it was amazing. And I feel this huge responsibility to these kids, and I'm willing to do it. But I just wanted to make the board aware of it because I know you guys can back me up. And, so this is it's really important to me because I watch the board meetings and I see what you guys need. And my husband and children are Coast Miwok, and they don't know anything about their culture. They want to, and I want them to. So I'm glad, I hope that we have the opportunity for them to do that. And so just want to let you guys know. And that's it.
Thank you. Adina Flores.
Good evening, board. I'm very glad we're taking a moment to recognize our Native American and Indigenous brothers and sisters because that's absolutely necessary. But what I don't appreciate that has me so angry right now that my heart's beating out of my chest is the virtue signaling. So, Ms. Dela Cruz, isn't it correct that Raíces Collective, the nonprofit where your husband works, you kicked off the Native American board president?
Is this pertinent to the
Yes,
resolution?
absolutely it is.
To the resolution.
You actually put her name on the tax forms and then,
Was
she was kicked off the board. So going back to what I'm saying, we don't actually care about our Native American and Indigenous brothers and sisters. You sat there and shook your head like you're woke, whatever. We need
Ms. Flores, please keep it pertinent to the motion and the passing of the motion.
interrupting me.
Don't attack. This is your warning.
$8,000, right, for Indian Ed, 8,000. So you just said, Ms. Dela Cruz, it was recorded, you want to take action and not just words. So right now you have the ability to agendize, to remove your stipends that you get paid and give.
That's not on topic, Ms. Flores. Okay, please cut off her mic. Your time is up. You had a warning and now you stayed off topic. You started talking about stipends, not the resolution. Thank you, Ms. Flores. We will now move on. We'll bring it back to the board. Thank you.
This is a place where children are listening to you speak. Please stop. That is not okay to do in front of children.
I am so sorry that that just happened in this place in front of our kids and in our community. That is not something that this board stands for, and we will do everything we can to continue creating safe spaces for people to talk about our education and respect for the people inside of our institutions who are doing beautiful work to do so. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee De La Cruz. So we bring it back for board discussion on this item. Board members, would anybody like to say anything? Trustee De La Torre?
I just want to reach out with my gratitude to the students. Thank you guys for your courage, for your passion, for your pride, in bringing this resolution to us and speaking from your hearts and speaking for your people and being able to share this information so that we can all continue to learn and grow. Mrs. Long, thank you for bringing the club to RVMS. Thank you for your son. He's a good buddy of my nephew, as you know, and I just love the community and the growth that we have. And I want to hear more from the students, from you guys, from your clubs. What do you guys want? What do you guys need? How can we help continue to grow this message and grow this knowledge base so that others know? And it's not just secluded to clubs or certain information. Like, we want to hear your stories. What can we do to help provide those? So continue to have those conversations with your clubs, with your administrators, with your teachers. Share that information with us so we can be a part of the process and encourage that. That's what we want. And really appreciate you guys for being here tonight.
Other board members? I'll take it to me. When I first started on the board, seeing that this hasn't been something that had been recognized in the past, it was really important for me to bring it to the board. And I always emphasize making it about October 12th versus whatever that second Monday is going to be. Because to me, it's about what that date is, October 12th, 1492, and what that represents, and recognizing that's where this all stems from. That's where the genocide and everything just began. To me, part of my journey to being who I am and my identity was really part of, being a Chicano, son of Mexican immigrants. And in my journey to my identity was understanding the indigenous roots that I had from my Mexican side and learning about the amazing things that weren't taught to me and taking pride in that. And I think recognizing this to me is about Native pride and being proud of who you are and understanding the many beautiful and awesome contributions that run through your blood, that your generations have been a part of, and they're in you, and you could be something. And I think in this country, in this community, so much has been taken away from our Native peoples, and so much harm has been done, and we have a long way to do to heal from that. And I think hearing the information on the graduation, information that just made me smile, I was like, whoa, that's awesome. But I know that we still have a long way to go. And this is just a tiny piece of that, just being recognized and having a little conversation about it and working towards progress. So that's why this is really important to me. I would like to follow up and ask if maybe on the issue about Friday, maybe we could work with Vanessa, maybe having something sent out to our admins to maybe getting that information out there, as well as something about the resolution being sent to our admins. And I know money's tight, but we can put in the request and see if maybe something could be worked out and found. There's always funds that are specialized to something, but we can't promise anything.
Windsor pulls from their art.
What was
fund.
that?
Windsor pulls from their art fund.
Well, that's not my specialty, but I'd say ask and see if something could be figured out. The worst thing that happens when you ask for something is that maybe you just don't get it, but at least asking is a positive. Mr. Castro?
Yeah, I'd just like to share something, Elizabeth and Madonna. We're fully funded in Indian education, Madonna. We have the funds for that, for your staff, and we can check in with Dr. Law for the programs that you need. And we always have been. And one of the things that's fortunate about this program is that it's funded through restricted funding. So it's separate from the funding that we use to fund the other programs. in the district. And so this is one of the funding resources that's protected. And so it tends to be easier to be able to support programs like this because it's separate. And we have Title VI, Title I that we can use for these sorts of things. So, yeah.
Thank you for that info. So with that said, thank you again. I'll bring it back to the board to see if we could have a motion to approve the resolution as amended to read, to be titled a resolution proclaiming October 12th as Indigenous Peoples' Day with the language as is. So would somebody like to make a motion?
I'd like to move to approve resolution proclaiming October 12th, 2024 as Indigenous Peoples' Day.
Second?
Moved by trustee De La Cruz, seconded by trustee De La Torre. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, let's go to the vote.
Student Board Member Zuniga.
Aye.
Trustee De La Cruz.
Aye.
Trustee De La Torre.
Aye.
Trustee McNally.
Aye.
Trustee Manieri.
Aye.
President Medina.
Aye. Thank you. And I had this to give to y'all, but we're gonna get it fixed so that the title is corrected. So thank you. We will now move on to item F2. There's a discussion item on summer school 2024. It's an update. And for that, we will have a lot of people. All right, Tina, thank you.
I'm going to introduce and then I'm going to step away. I'm going to go ahead and get started and just,
Just take a quick moment while little bio breaks.
you need crutches?
Okay, it looks like we've got quorum again. We can go ahead and get
Okay.
started. Assistant Superintendent Castro, I'll
Yes.
give you the floor.
Thank you, President Medina, Associate Superintendent August. Thank you for the opportunity to share some pretty amazing feedback and data and results from the summer school programs. We have over a dozen programs and really have exploded the number of students that we've been able to really facilitate services for. I'll turn it over to Dr. Reimer. I do want to share something that's that Dr. Reimer will also be able to share at the end. One of the things that goes hand in hand with these incredible results that we're receiving is the stark reality that goes hand in hand with everything else that we're doing this year, and that is that moving forward, we're not going to be able to maintain this level of support to so many students, and that's just something that's a stark reality, and that's something we're going to just have to keep, reminding ourselves with, and it's part of the same, fiscal conversations that we have to be having throughout the school year moving forward. And it's not just us, it's all the rest of the school districts in California and across the nation. So I'll go ahead and turn it over to Dr. Reimer. Thank you.
Good evening, board members, Superintendent August, and Board President Medina. My name is Michael Reimer. I'm a Director in Educational Services, and it is my pleasure this evening to start us off with a high-level summary of the summer school programs from summer 2024. Just in advance of our slides, I'll just ask our site administrators if you could prepare yourself and if you wouldn't mind rotating through the seats in preparation for your slides, because we definitely want to hear from you. With everyone's permission, I will gloss over some of the major points here. I won't take the time to read every single bullet point, but I do want to hit the highlights. In terms of the intentions of the summer school program, of course, our guiding documents are our mission, vision, and priorities at the board level. And when we think about crafting summer programs and implementing them, those are our North Star and what we're aiming for. If you read through those other bullet points, I can summarize them quickly by saying we offer a wide range of summer offerings, everything from academic support and remediation in terms of credit recovery, all the way to enrichment programs. So a spectrum of different offerings for elementary, middle, and high school. Final bullet point there that I wanted to emphasize as well, we don't do this work alone. A number of our programs are done in partnership with CBOs, community-based organizations from the greater Santa Rosa area. Few notable numbers on our next slide here to highlight and celebrate. If you asked us how many individual unique students attended one of our 17 summer school programs this year, the short answer is 2,970. So we saw a nice uptick in this last summer. And if you work out the math on that, it works out to a 16% increase in the number of unique students who attended one of the summer programs. Also of note here, we've worked to expand our summer programs last year to this year, 14 programs last year. We built out some new offerings, 17 this past summer. Wee bit tricky to read the numbers on this one, but I will summarize it by saying if you asked us about demand for summer school programs and had it broken down by racial or ethnic groups and thought about it per individual summer program, the answer, of course, is here in this table. And these are not participation results. What they are is enrollment demand. So you can see, looking at the total numbers, that we see significant demand for, simply all of our programs. So I believe that we're, meeting the community need and student interest as well. The first
real quick on that is,
yes, sir.
In this demand numbers, these could be, it's not individual, right? So student could be in multiple programs demanding?
Right, absolutely, that's correct. So a student could sign up, for example, for the elementary summer school program and also sign up for the migrant education program and the after-school program at summer school. So that's how you get multiple counts. The first summer school program that we wanted to celebrate this evening is the Mike Hauser Academy. It was located at multiple STEM-related companies in the greater Santa Rosa area. It's a 3-week program and ran from mid-June till the end of June, and is done in partnership with the Santa Rosa Metro Chamber of Commerce. Special shout out to Ananda Sweet from that group who really led that work together with our team. It's offered to rising 9th graders and has a focus on strengthening students' math and science skills. We were fortunate again to have a graduation ceremony. Thank you very much. Some of you attended, and it was held at Sonoma State University. This year, we had 106 students who completed the program and received 5 elective credits. Special shout out to the different companies and organizations at the bottom there. We would not be able to run this program without the staff, at their companies and on their teams. Gabriela Prado was the principal. She couldn't be here this evening for the newcomer English program. It was held at Elsie Allen High School for the first session during the high school credit recovery program and ran from June the 12th to July the 3rd. Couple of highlights to celebrate here about their work. They made use of something called the Get Ready curriculum, which is actually being used this fall in a number of our classrooms. But the thing that was striking is that the teachers piloted it during summer school. So fantastic integration there. Students were engaged in a variety of language acquisition activities. And of course, they covered the 4 major domains: speaking, writing, listening, and reading. And the activities varied in what they were learning, and included things like everyday language use, and then in some cases focused on more academic language. Just note and celebrate some of the pictures there. The one in the top right-hand corner is the students, our newcomer students, focusing on prepositions. Tricky in any language: on, above, inside, outside, around. And so they had an activity there highlighted in the top picture. And the bottom one is more of a cultural celebration. I'm told that this was an activity based on root beer floats. And so the students who, in many cases are brand new to our country, of course, were enjoying the recipe and that activity for sure. High School Credit Recovery Program was led by Dr. Mark Ryan and Casey Cunningham, and I turn it over to them for their summary.
Thank you, Dr. Reimer, and thank you, board members. And you can see the numbers there. They speak for themselves. I think a couple of key points. First of all, a huge thank you to all of the teachers and classified staff who really make all of this possible, because if we didn't have teachers willing to teach summer school and classified staff willing to do all of the work of making summer school happen, then all of these students would not have had these opportunities. So this is really entirely to be credited to the teachers and the classified staff. And when you look at the total pass rate for the 2 sessions, you see a number there that's just a little higher than 50%. That represents the fact that a student showed up at least one day and came to summer school. Many students chose not to come the entire time, and as a result of that, then did not earn credit. And if a student missed too many hours and didn't have enough contact hours, then they were not able to earn the credits. And so that's the reason why that number is not as high as many of us might have liked. But certainly you can see a lot there to celebrate in terms of certainly the 43 seniors that graduated as a result of summer school credit recovery. Had we not had that, those 43 seniors would not have had that opportunity. On the next slide, you can see a breakdown by grade level. And it's particularly important, I think, here to notice that while Cyber High's pass rates are generally not terribly good. You can see that it was really important for our 12th graders. And so while there's some discussion as to whether or not cyber high is the right answer for credit recovery, certainly for those 64% that passed classes in summer school, that was really a game changer. So that's really all I wanted to say, but thank you all for the opportunity to conduct summer school. And as Dr. Castro said, we recognize that we may not be able to offer the kinds of robust programming that we had, but it is important, I think, and I know the board knows this, but if we don't figure out ways to create credit recovery options, then our grad rates are going to be even lower. So from a prioritization standpoint, I would encourage the board to continue to think about ways to prioritize credit recovery, because without it, it's going to have a very negative impact on our students and families and larger community.
Dr. Ryan, on this, this is only credit recovery over the summer. These aren't the numbers for the night school program you had?
The night school programming had a 92% success rate, but this was just the summer programming, both 3-week summer school sessions that were 12 days each.
Okay, both are important programs, and we appreciate your campus for that opportunity. Just want to make sure I was looking at the numbers.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ryan, and also Casey Cunningham. If I may, just an additional note on the high school credit recovery. To celebrate here, the 5,321 credits this year are a 42% increase in the number of credits earned year over year. So we tweaked things a little bit this year and saw a significant bump in the number of credits earned by the students.
Can I just make a question? If you can go back to that originals, one more.
This one?
The next one, the
Sorry.
one that Dr. Ryan was presenting
Yes.
on.
Yeah.
Dr. Ryan, thank you so much for this data, because I think it also really speaks to like how we can evaluate which programs are being successful. And it's super interesting to see kind of those sophomores really kind of using the in-person sessions with a lot of success. And then the seniors with cyber high, like you just see that huge bump. And so I'm just wondering, how are we using this data to also, especially in, with resources being what they are, to prioritize those programs that have those excellent rates, like the night school program. Dr. Ryan, thank you so much for your creativity and for all the teachers who leaned in with you to do something that was incredibly successful. So how are we using this kind of data to really prioritize or focus our efforts as we move forward with diminishing resources?
Thank you. Quickly, I can say that I think that we still are continuing to analyze the data and to consider our finances for next year to go forward. Of course, one of the things we always want to try to do is to follow the data around strengthening or refining our practices in service of students. So, I don't have a quick answer for you this evening, but it's this kind of data that leads us down that path. Guadalupe Perez Cook was the summer school leader of the Elementary Summer School Academy at Abraham Lincoln, and we turn it over to her.
President Medina, members of the board, and Superintendent August, thank you for having me here this evening. I wanted to say that it was my pleasure to once again serve our community as a principal for Summer Academy at the Abraham Lincoln site this summer. The program that I served was a reading recovery program or reading intervention program over Abraham Lincoln. I want to first thank the amazing 13 teachers that supported this program. 6 were out of district, 7 within our district. We also had a student engagement activity worker, some of our classified staff that supported the program, Miss Amanda, and I had 3 wonderful staff in the office that also supported the program. I would like to shout out Jackie, Sandy, and Stephanie for a job well done, and everyone that served at the Summer Academy at Abraham Lincoln. As you can see, here's some data. We had about 83% of our students attended regularly. That was our attendance rate. We served 146 students And we had family workshops. We started off with a low attendance from our families at 23%, which was very low compared to last year when we started off at 70 and got to almost, I think, high 90s. So this year, the staff worked hard via email communication. Our teachers even took part in promoting our workshops, and we got to a 91% rate of parent involvement in attending our workshops. That was through lots of efforts from everyone. I wanted also to say that we had a 100% pre and post test, and 83% of our students met their growth goal. There was an award tied to that growth goal, and so we congratulated those families and had a little ceremony at the end of the program. In addition, students read 7,290 minutes that last week of school. And I do have where it says Summer Academy 2024, there's a short video there. I don't know if we have time to watch it. It's about 3 minutes, and it's celebrating, it's photos of what happened at summer school at Abraham Lincoln.
Thank you so much, Guadalupe. And if I may just add, to celebrate that team's work this summer, it's contained in the additional reports that are a part of the board agenda. But if I may, congratulations to that team. Guadalupe, thank you. 5.0 months of reading gain from their school site in a 5-week program. Additionally, if you're interested in some of the details, I'd point the board towards the technical analysis reports, and some of the statistical analysis is contained there, proving that we've got a statistically significant improvement in the results for the students. So congratulations.
Can I add one more thing? I wanted to add that I want to thank our amazing partnership with the Boys and Girls Club and the Migrant Ed program, because the students in my program fed into those programs in the afternoon, and it was an amazing partnership. We all worked well together.
Thank you so much. Indy Monday was the summer school principal for the Brook Hill Elementary program. It actually mirrored Guadalupe's program at Abraham Lincoln. So this summer we were able to double our capacity for early literacy. We had 2 elementary programs. The dates are the same as Guadalupe's program. And again, we implemented an early literacy program called Springboard Collaborative. This site had very similar results, 4.7 months of reading improvement for students, again, in a 5-week program. And finally, as Guadalupe had mentioned, we had the afternoon activities together with the Boys and Girls Club. Jose Salazar was the summer school principal for the Migrant Education program, and we turn it over to him.
Good evening. I just want to briefly share with you our summer school experience. I worked at Abraham Lincoln as well in collaboration with Guadalupe and the Springboard Academy, and also with the Boys and Girls Club. When they were done in the afternoon after lunch, we took about 40 to 45 students and worked with them in an enrichment, in a 3-week enrichment program. So her program was 6 weeks. We only had a portion of that for 3 weeks. We had 3 classroom teachers. They were all combos, a K1, 2, 3, and a 4, 5. We also had a math TOSA. I don't know who came up with the TOSA, but good thing we didn't have a language arts TOSA, because it's hard to share that to parents that we have La TOSA. But that might have to change. I don't know. We'll see. But we had a math TOSA who did an amazing job. She did the math lessons was based on Stone Soup, and the kids from K through 5th grade all did these algebraic problem solving based on the Stone Soup. We also did a cultural lesson. And the writing program, we focused on their names, the origin of their names, how the parents decided they had to investigate and research and ask questions to the parents and find out how they got their names, if it was a family member, a friend of the family, or a celebrity, how they got their names. We also did a cultural lessons. We did a math lesson on the mind math. We did another cultural lesson on the Tarahumaras, the athletes from the Copper Canyons of Chihuahua. I don't know if you know them. Yeah, he's a runner, long distance runner. Yeah. And they also did a self-portrait on themselves. We also had a representative from the Children's Museum, the Museum of Sonoma County, who came in, and he did a rocket lab with the kids. That was amazing. out of paper. They rolled up the paper and I couldn't believe how high the rockets were going just out of paper. We also did a color run activity with the Boys and Girls Club, and that was an amazing event for the kids as well. We also have Jessica Romero from the Sonoma County Library who came in and read to the kids and talked about the whole application process and issuing them library cards. At the end, we had a showcase on July 3rd, the Wednesday, and many of the board members, many of the cabinet attended. Michael Reimer, Rada Castro, Dr. Morales, Anna Trinell were there. The field day, we had a field day scheduled, and we had it limited because that week it was over 100 degrees, and so we limited to just playing gaga ball and the balloon toss, water balloon toss. And that was it. It was an honor to be the principal, and I really do appreciate the opportunity. There are some photos, I'm sorry, there's some photos there. The K1, the Rocket Lab, the self-portraits, and the showcase. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. It was a fantastic program again this summer. The next slide is dedicated to the Migrant Education Secondary Program. It's a federally funded program that serves migrant students from grades 6th through 12th, so the older students. It's hosted at Santa Rosa Junior College, and components include cultural awareness, as well as providing credit recovery options. Full-day program ran for 6 weeks and had classes in mathematics, English, science, history, and ballet folklorico. This year, it served a total of 58 students from our school district. I'd like to call on Vella Millen and also Julie Grange to talk about our special education extended school year program.
Hello, my name is Bella Millen. As part of ESY, we would like to start by thanking you for allowing us to present this evening. Greetings, board members, and thank you, Assistant Superintendent Ms. August. I have a lot of people to thank for making ESY a positive experience for all. Most importantly, Dr. Michael Reimer for his guidance and support throughout ESY. Mr. Brad Coscarelli for his mentorship, Miss Julie Grange for being a stellar co-principal. Extremely knowledgeable and so easy to work with. There were trips to In-N-Out and McDonald's, visits to the library via city bus passes, and even smart train rides, along with walking field trips to the park and even a movie day, Elemental, in the multi-purpose room, led by Miss Moore, focused on cross-curricular standards, including environmental science and English. There was a focus on behavior plans and IEP implementation for their goals, per their ESY services, accommodations, creating a community of connection. And we'd like to give a big shout out to Doug Kirk and Amy Lopez for their help with busing and security, and our incredible nurse, Jennifer Rodriguez. The technology department, great help, Mr. Ian O'Connor. Tammy Afonso assured us we had substitutes readily available. From our teachers, Mr. Montoya made students walking sticks out of recycled wood. Miss Gordon had a fun fossil dig with dinosaurs and ice, and there were bubbles, popsicles, artwork, and fun for all. All of our classes spent time outdoors and enjoyed the natural environment with games, sports, and playground equipment. Without our wonderful credentialed staff, extensive support staff, counselors, restoratives, behaviorists, and workability, and our committed, knowledgeable, and wonderful teachers, our amazing summer wouldn't have been possible. Students had fun and met new friends, creating positive social connections that are key to success from childhood to adulthood. Preschool students went on walking field trips to the park behind our campus. Our older students were able to take the bus and even the SMART train to practice community-based instruction for transition. We also want to acknowledge the efforts of our amazing classified office staff, Lisa, Rebecca, and Maria. Of course, Maria at Steeling Elementary School main office for her patience, Arnaldo for keeping the campus clean and our bathroom supplies stocked, and our cafeteria clerks who fed our students with true kindness in their hearts. That hard work and dedication were instrumental in the smooth running of the extended school year summer program of 2023-2024. Thank you for the opportunity to serve as the ESY summer principal at Steel Lane Elementary School, and I'll pass it over to my co-principal, Julie Grange.
I don't have anything to say now. No, I'm just kidding. So I just wanted to point to our slide just a little bit. I mean, that was excellent. Thank you so much. Point to our slide a little bit that we had 3 different sites. We had Hidden Valley where we had our DHH program, deaf and hard of hearing. We had the elementary school at Steel Lane, and then we had the middle and high school and 18 to 22 program over at Ridgeway High School. We served, I think, about a little over 300 students altogether, about 310, I think was the final number. We focused on English language arts with some math, also a lot of community-based activities, which is a big thing, especially for the older students in the special services program. And then we ended at the school year with a big family barbecue. A lot of the parents came out to barbecue and fed all of the staff and students. And also we had some construction workers on campus that day, and we invited them in to come have some hot dogs and made it sort of a big community event. So I think that covers pretty much everything that we did. You had it all covered, but I just want to appreciate you as well and appreciate Michael for having been such a great leader as well.
Thank you so much, ladies. It was a fantastic program. Appreciate it. Next slide is dedicated to the Luther Burbank Center for the Performing Arts. Every year you may recall that they host a program at Comstock Middle School. It returned there again this year. We offer classes in visual arts, drama, dance, mariachi, and this year it served 159 students. This is one of the unique programs at our summer school that actually is open to all students K through 12. So if you walked on campus this summer, you would have seen just, all the age ranges being served. And then we were fortunate to again have a celebration performance at the LBC, Luther Burbank Center for the Arts, as the culminating event. And you can see some pictures there from that evening. The OWL camps are outdoor experiential learning classes designed for students in grades 1 through 7 from our Title I schools. It served 167 students and was hosted at 3 local outdoor farms or preserves. Thank you to the Preston Farm, the Bohemia Ecological Preserve, and the folks at Duckworth Farm. Great, or a nice quote here at the end. One of the parents says, "Great experience with outdoor nature skills, hikes, and activities." Excel for Youth is a collaboration with Sonoma State University and was led this year by Eric Olson.
Thank you so much, Dr. Reimer, members of the board. Sonoma State University runs this wonderful program that we've been able to partner with for a number of years. It served over 3 weeks, and each week had a morning and afternoon session that allowed students a total of 6 sets of, I believe, 4 to 8 different classes. Most involve STEAM and different versions of arts, serving all of our incoming 4th through 8th grade students. I made a lot of efforts to try to include as many students from our traditional and charter schools as possible, flyering before, and we really were able to up our enrollment this year, which was thanks in part to Dr. Reimer helping me get enough flyers and stuff out to our principals. If you go to the next slide, we have a couple of pictures. Just a couple examples. There was a Harry Potter class where they got to play Quidditch at the end of the session, which was really fun. And then thanks so much to Sarah Imparato and the custodial staff at the Charter School for the Arts for allowing us not only to use their classrooms, but their black box theater, which you can see here, students putting on a musical for a performance and our musical performance for parents, other students, and our staff at the end of, I think, week 2.
Thank you so much, Eric, for your leadership. And not too often you see Quidditch on the curriculum, but there it is, and the kids are playing. So fantastic. The next slide is dedicated to the collaboration, a new summer school program done in conjunction with the Santa Rosa City Recreation and Parks Group. We hosted something called Recreation Sensation, which was a program that served elementary students and was held at Abraham Lincoln and Brook Hill sites. It focused on a variety of activities, including sports, some arts-themed offerings, and enrichment activities. And in addition to those two sites, we also had a middle grades program, again, a new one, that was hosted at Piner for grades 4 through 8 students. All totaled, this program served 209 district students. Our child care program is celebrated here in this next slide. Unfortunately, Gabby Mathieson couldn't be here this evening. She was the program leader. But she wanted us to know that the program was run at 4 different locations, highlighted on the right-hand side, and served a total of 231 students. Activities that were highlighted were in the bottom left-hand corner. They conducted a number of field trips, had STEM activities, included arts and crafts, and also had a reading club. Going to turn it over to Andrea Correa and Norma Vasquez to talk about the new middle grades math lab and science camp that were held at Piner this year.
Thank you. So after many, many, many years of credit recovery, this summer I got to play with middle school and little kids, and it was great. So our middle school math lab and science camps were a little bit different in the sense that the children were doing all hands-on activities at Piner High School, utilizing our beautiful planetarium and our science center. But our teachers were doing professional development while the students were doing all that hands-on activity. So in our middle school math lab, we did building thinking classroom work with SCO. And we had wonderful high school teachers as well as some retired middle school teachers come back and work with our students. They were doing building thinking classroom work up in the classroom, working on whiteboards, and then using tons of manipulatives and also doing steeplechases throughout Piner High School's campus, which was really exciting for the little guys because it was so big compared to their regular school. In our science camps, our students were geocaching. They were using 3D printers. They were building rockets, going on field trips. They also rode the SMART train. They did nature walks across the street at the park every other day. And we would collect insects out of the water, and they would use microscopes to look at them. And so it was a lot of fun for them. They all got to work with Mr. Kruger from Piner High School, who is an amazing mentor to young people as well as to teachers throughout our district. We had a wonderful teacher named Sarah Kanga Livingston who came from Slater to work with us, who was so much fun with our students. We had Kim Case and Julie Tiffany come out and work with us as well. And our students planted seeds. Every day they had some different activity. These are some pictures of the rockets. And so we even had the fire department come out because they were going very far up in the air, and we had to have the fire department let the Sonoma County Airport know that we were going to be shooting off rockets out there on the softball fields at Piner High School. So it was exciting. We loved it. It was a lot of fun, and I'm happy I work in high school. So it was great.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And again, that was a new pilot program for us this year. We wanted to intentionally focus on the middle grades and then do something around STEM. So great photos there, and they loved the Piner campus. At this time, I'd like to call on Sarah Imperato, who is the principal at Arts Charter, to talk about her summer program. And I think she's joining us by Zoom.
Yes. Good evening, President Medina, esteemed board members, and Assistant Superintendent Lisa August. I'm Principal Sam Parado. I'm excited to share the success of our STEAM camp this summer. This is our 3rd year doing it at the Arts Charter. It provided an exceptional learning experience for our students. So we emphasize arts integration and our unique approach to STEAM camp. It combines science, technology, engineering, and math with the arts in a truly dynamic way. So our teachers at the Arts Charter, they've been trained with arts integration And we have all of our students there during this STEAM camp. So the bonds they form with our students during this innovative camp, that spills over into the oncoming school year, because then they've made connections with students of all ages. These classes are all multi-age, multi-skill. Everyone is challenged at their academic level with our differentiated instruction, project-based learning. So it's a maker camp project-based learning model. As I mentioned, our students, they're using hands-on creating and building while they're developing those high-level thinking and problem-solving skills. Every project encouraged collaboration and real-world application of knowledge. It allowed our students to dive deeper into subjects while working together to solve complex challenges. Each session featured an integrated writing component. This enabled our students to reflect on their experiences. It enhanced their communication skills. And so we combine the arts with these technical subjects. It helps our students to think creatively while mastering that essential academic content. The benefits were clear. Our families reported that kiddos were rushing their parents out the door because they were so excited to get to camp on time. They arrived eager to learn. They left happy with what they'd accomplished. And our STEAM camp helped with collaboration. They communicated their ideas effectively, and they engaged with learning in meaningful ways. So, and then this innovative model, it fostered a strong connection between the arts and core academic subjects. So it ensured that our students are prepared for school and for their future. And we just appreciate the time to share this with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Appreciate it. Turn it over to Evelyn Anderson, the principal from French American Charter.
Thank you, Dr. Reimer, and thank you, board. We began our Jumpstart program after distance learning as a way to re-engage students into the school environment, and it's proving to be a really valuable transition tool for our unduplicated students as a way to prepare them for coming back to the learning environment and practicing their French. And so we engage them in a variety of activities. They're building a lot of skills because now we're going on, consecutive summers of coding and magic. And of course, we do a lot of gardening and social emotional learning and outdoor play. So they're having fun as well as just re-engaging with their school environment and practicing their French.
Thank you very much. Aida Diaz was the principal of their Cesar Chavez's summer program. Aida.
Thank you. Hello. And so we actually did something a little different this year. So we partnered with the Cesar Chavez Foundation for their curriculum as a supplemental. And so it was all focused on cultural relevant books and songs and dance. So the students were able to learn about their own identity and about books and be able to write and sing. And so at the end of the program, we were able to put on a little convivio reunion with the families at the end of the summer program. So the kids got to perform El Baile de los Viejitos. They learned some Selena songs, some farm worker songs that are traditional to our farm workers. They also focused on math. And then this year we were also able to have physical education as well. So students not only got to do a lot of the academics, but also got to play and move their bodies. And lastly, we also were able to have a very targeted class for our ELD students, specifically for them, which had, like I said, novel studies, but culturally relevant to them and what they wanted to learn.
Fantastic. The final couple of slides celebrate the contributions of some of our CBOs. The Boys and Girls Club program helped us in the afternoons to serve a total of 584 K through 6 students. And I think it was notable that, they employed the after-school staff members from many of our elementary sites. So, when the kids showed up for summer school, they saw familiar faces and participated in a familiar structure to them. Some highlights at the bottom there, the Boys and Girls Club Olympics they had, Camp Cella for kids, and also student dance competitions. Wrap it up here towards the end. Thank you. We wanted to celebrate the feedback that we've received this year. We've maintained the same questions year over year, of course, for comparison purposes. And you can see, I'll just pause as you skim through those numbers and celebrate this, that all 4 of those metrics are ticking up again this year. And in some cases, they're significant increases. Strongly agree that the program supported the students' academic needs, 69% last year, up to 87% this year. So great metrics here for us.
Thank you. Anything else before?
Yes, thank you so much. Questions or discussion?
Board questions before I get started? My first question is, one thing that I've seen is that with the college promise and dual enrollment, a lot of students are taking classes during the summer. Are we able to get data on that? How many of our students are participating in SRJC during the summer? So we could.
So we highlighted on the migrant education secondary slide, 58 students this year participated at the JC in conjunction with the migrant ed program there. So some are on campus there. The majority of our high school credit recovery credits, though, are offered on our district campus.
No, I know, but I mean, through dual enrollment, students are taking classes at JC and supplementing their classes. And I'm wondering if we could collaborate with SRJC to get that data and understand how many of our students are participating in the summer in that way and getting some sort of summer enrichment or credits also from there.
Thank you. I apologize. I misunderstood. I can look into that and get those numbers as well.
I think the other question that I had, let me pull up the right window here. Oh, yeah. I lose track of all the meetings that I attend, but one thing that's been come up on a recurring basis is that a lot of our students coming out of middle school are going into high school as freshmen, unprepared and without sufficient skills to really be successful their freshman year. And I don't necessarily see anything here that's really targeting or adding that support that's identifying those students at the middle school level that might need additional support to start off high school on a positive footing. Do we have anything that's intentionally targeting those students, identifying those students? And if not, is that something we can do or figure out so we can make sure that they're starting off on a good basis when they get to high school?
Definitely. Thank you for that point. I'll say this is as successful, I think, as some parts of our programming were this year, there is still much work to be done. And I think that you've identified an area that we continue to study and think about. You know, I think some of your points may have been caught with programs like the Mike Hauser Academy program, which focuses on math skills from 8th grade to 9th grade and really works to give students real-world understanding of math in action, if you will. And then also the new piloted programs that Andrea Correa had mentioned at her school site, again, with a math or science kind of theme, focusing on the middle grades, strengthening the grades 4 through 8 and giving them where we can hands-on activities, and then building on some of the instructional work that we've already done from a curriculum standpoint in mathematics. And here Andrea had mentioned the work of building thinking classrooms, which we've done professional development on last couple of years with our teachers. And then also we wanted to note that it built on the work of Joe Bowler as well. We had actually front-loaded some of the training and support for our teachers prior to summer school by sending them to some training as well. So, you know, simply here, I'll say we're continuing to invest, I think, in that age group, wanting to strengthen their academics prior to high school. And it's things like this that are getting us there. But I do agree with you. There's more to think about or investigate there.
I think my concern, oh, go ahead.
No, not to go too long, but I think you've hit on an important point. And in Ed Services, we're constantly looking at data and we're working together cross-functionally. And so like the intentional moves that Dr. Reimer did to add like STEM for this summer was for that reason. And as we move forward and really have to pare back and focus on priorities for a much smaller set of offerings moving forward for summer, that's probably what we're going to have to be doing, is really focusing on preparing students that are in the most need and in grade levels like middle school, and really expanding on the focuses that we've had in ed services, now going into, I think, the third year for the Joe Bowler work and building thinking classrooms, and that, like mathematics, for example, trying to prepare students, for the larger conversations that we've been having around math and those pathways is probably what we're going to have to end up really refining our focus moving forward. So that's exactly what we're doing. And some of that work is what you saw in those new offerings in STEM. So that's exactly we're on the same page there in terms of that thinking.
And I think my concern is that, well, all these programs are amazing. I'm glad that we have them. And I think the conversation started off with looking at the demand for the programs. And I don't know, and I'm curious as to those students that might have this need aren't the ones necessarily demanding this stuff. And that's where I feel like maybe we need to identify them and say, you need to do this. And I think what I've read in maybe EdCode or through, I don't know where I've read it, but that we can't hold students back that aren't ready when they're coming out of middle school if we don't provide them a support. And I think that some of these students need to be held back, but if we're not doing our part to provide them support, then we can't do that. So I think we need to figure out a way, how are we supporting these students to move on to the next level, be ready for success? And if we're looking at a situation where we're dealing with drastic cuts in resources, then we need to reprioritize. Again, I think all these programs are amazing and needed, and I want our students to have them. But ultimately, I want to make sure that we're focusing on graduating our students and having those that need to be worked on the most to get the skills and support that they need. And I think those are going to be tough conversations that we need to have and look into, but I want to make sure that we're looking into that and addressing it as we move forward towards our summer enrichment programs.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Other board comments? Trustee De La Cruz?
It was really interesting to start with like the high school programs focused on credit recovery and move back into the kind of elementary level focuses, which, I want to make sure are designed to address where we see the most need for credit recovery at the high school level. So I'm just wondering, like, how are we, again, utilizing data and looking at need when we're prioritizing, essentially creating pipelines between elementary, middle, and high school, really addressing like where we see the highest need for credit recovery at the high school level.
Yeah, and it's the challenge that we have is that technical and adaptive, right? That we have to deal with the immediate needs of students that like their 10th, 11th, and 12th grade, or 11th and 12th grade. We need to find a solution for them immediately. And then the long-term solutions, which is that we'll have to prepare those students that are 4th and 5th and 6th grade, that we want to really build up their skills so that they're going to be in less of a need for credit recovery, because that can't be a solution for long-term, right? We can't continue to be providing $500,000 for credit recovery every single year. So we're trying to juggle both of those at the same time, and those are the conversations we're constantly aware of and constantly having. Yeah, absolutely. We're looking at data every day for that.
Go ahead, sorry.
I was just going to build on that, if I may, and just say, absolutely. And then I'll just point out the importance of early literacy in the K through 4 program, and the fact that we were able to double the capacity this year. Really making sure that they've got a sound foundation with language first, we know helps to set them up for success later on. Having said that, though, we also recognize that we need to think strategically and intentionally around that pipeline that you've mentioned to make sure that we're not seeing such a huge demand for high school credit recovery, right?
Yeah, I would just say, like, I'm seeing it right now. So I have a middle schooler. I love what we've done to make sure that one assessment in 6th grade doesn't determine whether or not you get to do calculus in high school. So I think we've done a really nice job as a district of moving away from that and allowing more kids to, be pushed and push themselves into an advanced math in 7th and 8th grades. At Santa Rosa Middle, we have one advanced math class. It is full of 37 children on the last period of the day. right? Like that. So
kid was in it.
like those are the situations that create the need for credit recovery in high school, right?
Yeah.
And make it exceedingly difficult on a teacher trying to do that. So I'm also just wondering, like, I feel like, you know, summer school and credit recovery is all telling us about like what's pouring out of the edges of our daily system, right? Like what we're not figuring out how to address inside of, you know, the day of school or the weekday or the, you know, school year. And so, and in particular, I think we're talking about this, you know, with Dr. Morales around just where she's focusing. So we know we have needs in math. We know we have needs in basic literacy all the way through our system. So I'm just wondering, like, I don't know, again, how are we really making sure that we're also addressing those things which spill right into our after school, into our summer school, into our credit recovery challenges?
Well, we're braiding those efforts. And so like we're being as creative as we can, even using the summer as an opportunity when we have those building thinking classrooms, those offerings for students to bring in actual teachers to train them on those strategies so that they can take back during the school year. So we're doing everything we can to take advantage of every opportunity that we possibly can to make this a long-term adaptive solution as well.
Thanks.
Trustee La Torre.
So I'm just gonna keep saying it because it can't be said enough is, yes, we doubled the enrollment of the literacy needs in the summer, and that's great. And I'm so grateful we had those opportunities for those children, but how can we better prepare during the 10 months of our school year that that need is not there during the summer, that we don't have to provide those opportunities over the summer for these students. And the earlier we're able to provide the resources and the enrichment necessary, that you're right. It's you got to fix it now because they need to graduate, but also we got to fix it now so they're ready to graduate and never get in that position in the first place. And that really does start at the elementary level. So we had an abundance of programs. It was a great presentation tonight. I'm really glad we got to speak to the administrators and hear about the appreciation of the teachers and partnerships we're able to put into that. But it's a really expensive problem. And what can we do better to provide that enrichment resources for our teachers, our staff, and our students throughout the school year? And I know you're working really hard on it and we really appreciate it. I just want to keep saying it because it really is that important.
Appreciate it. Keep pushing.
I think the thing that I'd like to add is that it was good hearing about, I think it was at some point in elementary, about 5 months of advancement in like reading levels or something at some point. And that really took me back to the idea of what the county calls upstream investments. And I think us really taking that focus and investing at that early stage, like I was thinking, I'm like, our goal shouldn't be students being at reading level. Like at that early stage, we should want them to be advanced. That should be our goal, to get them past the current reading level. That way we maybe eventually eliminate the need for credit recovery at some point. Although at the elementary level, it's limited to the schools in our district. So what comes into us from outside districts, we have no control over. But in terms of data, I'm curious if long-term you're monitoring like the impact of these programs and how these students are doing or will do in relation to students that haven't participated in any of these summer programs, and the long-term trajectory of the data that we collect.
Thank you. We've collected some data, of course, and reported out on it. Simply here, we have not conducted a longitudinal study to look at the long-term impacts or over an extended period of time yet. So it's something that we intend to do after we have a little bit more data, and then to dig into that a little bit more to study impact and also the investment in terms of the dollars and what's showing good long-term results.
I think the other thing that I'd like to touch on is I think June, maybe we passed the MOU to provide I think it's the California Colleges website that allows students to, in part, explore their careers and things that they want to get into. I don't know if we have an effective plan to make sure that our schools are ensuring that our students are using that. But I think it'd be important to be able to collect that data to identify kind of where our students want to go, to maybe collaborate with organizations using that data to bring programs to our campuses based on what our students want to accomplish. Maybe, CBOs or other organizations. But if we can get that data from the students based on their needs, we could target what types of programs we'd like to partner with other organizations to bring and provide those opportunities to our students. So I think using that tool has great potential, but I think we need a plan to do that and implement it effectively. Thank you.
And I do want to say, this is a presentation on summer programs, right? And so in late May and in early June, we did adopt a new foundational program, and it does bring with it a new designated ELD program that should revamp, and we should have an impact of that in a few years that should really show some results with respect to literacy, right? But, we can get into a little bit more of that, hopefully, when it starts showing some fruition and some of the scores start coming out. But we're almost at an hour here, so.
Any other board member questions? Seeing none, I don't see any public comment on this. Oh, Trustee Zuniga.
It's not a question, but it's a thanks. I was a camper at the LBC mariachi camp. I was a camper at Al Camp. Now I work at Al Camp. I went to Excel and I learned how to code. And so I'm a accumulation of all of these camps. And I loved them. They were so fun, so much fun, that I returned and decided to work for the organizations. And so I want to thank you and show you that they work and they matter and they inspire. Thank you.
That's amazing. Full circle.
Thank you for sharing that.
So,
If I may, just at the end, there was two things I wanted to mention.
No
Forgive
more.
me. No more? I wanted to highlight, number one, the fact that we went swimming this year. It was a conversation last year. There was 9 swimming events. It was held in conjunction with the Santa Rosa City Rec and Parks Department. So hundreds of our kids got out swimming this year. So that was number one. And then number two, at the end here, I wanted to give a special thank you and shout out to our teachers, our classified staff, the many different district employees who helped us get there, human resources, budget, transportation, student nutrition. All of these folks in these different departments contributed in significant ways to the successful launch of these programs. The teachers, of course, the counselors, and finally our summer school administrators. So it was really a team effort, and I wanted to acknowledge them tonight.
And Michael, could we let people know how the swimming thing happened and was allowed? Because I know it's something that the community asks us about a lot, and unfortunately, we did have a tragedy within our district. So the fact that we were able to make that work over the summer and get some swimming lessons to children and give them that opportunity is really valuable. And I just want to make sure the community hears how that was possible.
Sure. We have to thank actually Superintendent August, who helped us make sure that that happened this year. So she's got the details.
So a couple of things. One, it was a partnership with Parks and Rec. So really the swimming was organized through that. There are circumstances when it's instructionally related that we can have some water activities. We do not have the ability necessarily to do just a swimming event. So very certain circumstances in which we are very safety conscious and making sure that we are partnering in the right way. So, and thank you to Dr. Reimer for making sure that we really jumped through all of the hoops to allow us to do that safely.
I think one thing that I'd like to add, based on a conversation that I had with the principal at Elsie Allen. Elsie Allen started their new education pathway, right? And one of the discussions was about maybe how could students that are interested in that maybe potentially get internships as instructional assistants, maybe collaborating with CSEA, and maybe looking at that as something for the summer programs in the future. So maybe looking at that as an opportunity that it's learning for them while they're learning to teach or something.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And we've done the same thing for translators. We're trying to pick them up at the sites, make a future out of it. Yeah.
Well, thank you again. We'll close up on that
Thank
item
you.
and move on to our next item. Thank you, everybody. All right, we will now move on to item F3. See, I am now opening a public hearing regarding sufficiency of textbooks or instructional materials for the 2024-25 grades K through 6. Do we have any comments on this item?
President Medina, I do not have any blue cards.
Given there's no blue cards, I'm now closing the public hearing, and we will move on to item F4. Action item on the sufficiency of textbooks or instructional materials for the 2024-25 grades K through 6. The floor is yours, Dr. Castro. And
Thank
Ms.
you.
Haley.
Per California Education Code 1240, county offices of education are required to monitor schools that have been identified for Williams monitoring. This report represented at tonight's meeting shows the results of the County Office of Education's visits for Biella, Brook Hill, Monroe, Estelle Lane. The purpose of the visit, as specified in California Ed Code, is to determine if students have sufficient standards aligned instructional materials in 4 core subject areas: ELA, mathematics, history, social science, and science, including science laboratory equipment, and to determine if there are any facility conditions that, quote, pose an emergency or urgent threat to the health or safety of pupils or staff. There's an additional item, teacher misassignments, that will take place in October. Tonight's requested action is to receive and to accept the results of the review.
Board questions? I don't have well, I guess it would fall under here. I'm addressing the question earlier, or the point brought up by President Howe around the Chromebooks. Does that fall under here, or?
Yeah, it would. The question about the Chromebooks, well, too much credit given to Ed Services. We don't determine whether or not we are one-to-one. I think I can defer to Associate Superintendent August on that. We do determine in terms of the curriculum, how the curriculum is accessed. We do not have board-adopted curriculum that is online. That's something that we would determine. So all our curriculum is actually available physically. That's something that we would determine. And we do have to report that. And then the individuals that are conducting the review make a determination based on that information.
So this is textbooks or materials, not hardware
Yes.
or equipment?
And if our materials were to be online, then we would have to respond as such. And eventually, I'm sure all districts may have materials that are going to be solely online, but we don't have any board-adopted curriculum that's solely online.
Thank you. And so, yes, the district does make an effort, and as a response to COVID, did switch to being able to very quickly roll out the Chromebooks. Providing a device is not the same as being a one-to-one district. And being a one-to-one district really is an implementation plan. There's everything that needs to be developed to put that out there. Many districts during the pandemic had to make that immediate response to be able to continue instruction. That didn't mean that became the instructional, the adopted curriculum going forward. So there's a difference. And so that's where it's really stepping back, definitely noted. And we've been having a lot of conversations about how we do a one-to-one implementation plan going forward so that it can be successful. And it is something that needs to be very thought out. Where I came from, that is what we were able to do. It's very different than what we have going on here. And it is in the works. We have been actually talking about it for about a year and a half.
Thank
We
you.
will get closer.
Other board questions?
So I just want clarity. The report of this Williams report is we're sufficient because we have the textbooks available, and that's what the curriculum's through. And it's
Yes.
not online curriculum, so we're not taking the Chromebooks in consideration?
Yes, we would have to have board-adopted online curriculum, and then we'd be judged against that. In other words, if the curriculum were board-adopted and online, then we would need to have technology for students to be able to access that online curriculum that's board-adopted.
So it may not be a part of tonight's discussion and action item on this accepting that list is, but I just want to make note that we have further discussions on this because if we have sufficient textbooks, but then we are handing all of our children Chromebooks and saying, learn from this, and we don't have enough or they're broken or they're insufficient, that's an issue. That's a
Absolutely.
discrepancy. So we need to figure out where that discrepancy is. And it is, if it does come to a board policy, let's have that discussion and fix it. I'm glad it was brought up tonight by President Howe and others, and the board is paying attention. Assistant Superintendent August is paying attention. You're paying attention, Dr. Castro. We just want to have these conversations and make sure we are being proactive because technology is outdated by the time it's in your hands, and it is a very high expense. But if our children start the school year and we say, take your Chromebook home and this is how you do your work, and we're not able to provide that, well, then give them the textbook that we are able to provide and make the changes there. So
absolutely.
And that actually, Trustee Delatorre, that's actually an important point, is that for us to truly be one-to-one and require that students take the devices home, we also have to be able to ensure that every student has internet capability at home, which is outside of the scope of what we're able to do. There was a difference very short term during the pandemic where there were special funds and devices available that all of that, again, is something that has gone away. And so it's really, we have to be very careful and cognizant of how we are assigning that work and what our expectations are to our teachers and to our students through that.
Thank you. Trustee Manieri.
Thank you. It was brought up earlier that our website says that we are a one-to-one district, and that is true. And I think that that is causing some confusion. So I want to acknowledge that we're also sending mixed messages to our community. And if we are not a one-to-one district, then we need to fix that on our website.
Noted and already messaged. Thank you.
Anything else, board? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve Resolution 2024-25-11 for textbooks and instructional materials sufficiency? Anybody?
I'd like to move to approve Resolution 2024-25-11 related to the sufficiency of textbooks and instructional materials for 2024-25 grades K through 6.
Moved by Trustee De La Cruz. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Trustee Manieri. Any discussion? Seeing none, let's go to the vote.
Student Board Member Zuniga.
Aye.
Trustee De La Cruz.
Aye.
Trustee Manieri.
Aye.
Trustee McNally.
Aye.
Trustee De La Torre.
Aye.
President Medina.
Aye. Thank you. We'll now move on to item F5. Now opening the public hearing regarding sufficiency of textbooks and instructional materials for the 24-25 school year for grades 7 to 12. Is there any blue speaker cards on this item?
No blue cards.
Seeing none, I'm going to close the hearing. Hearing's closed. Now move on to item F6. This is an action item for the sufficiency of textbooks or instructional materials for the 2024-25 grades 7 to 12.
Thank you, President Medina. Associate Superintendent August. Per California Ed Code 1240, county offices are required to monitor schools that have been identified for Williams monitoring. This report presented at the board meeting shows the results of the County Office of Education visits at Elsie Allen High School, Montgomery High School, and Santa Rosa High School. Purpose of the visit as specified by CDE Code 1240 was to determine if students have sufficient standards aligned instructional materials in ELA, mathematics, history, social science, and science, including science laboratory equipment in grades 9 through 12, and as appropriate in foreign languages and health, and to determine if there are any facility conditions that, quote, pose an emergency or urgent threat to the health or safety of pupils or staff, unquote. The teacher component of misassignments and SARC review will be completed in the month of October. Tonight's proposed action is to accept the review results from the County Office of Education. Oh, and sorry, also included Rincon Valley Middle School.
Board, any questions? Seeing none. Is there a motion to approve resolution 2024/25-12 for the textbooks and or instructional material sufficiency for grades 7 to 12?
So moved.
Moved by trustee La Torre, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by trustee De La Cruz. Any discussion? Seeing none. To the vote, please.
Student Board Member Zaninga.
Aye.
Trustee De La Torre.
Aye.
Trustee De La Cruz.
Aye.
Trustee McNally.
Aye.
Trustee Minieri.
Aye.
President Medina.
Aye. Thank you. We will now move on to item F7. Okay, let's see. All right, board, this is something that I am bringing forward. So this is a proposal to amend Board Bylaw 9150. There's two components to this. So first off, a little background. A while ago, I noticed that another board meeting, they had multiple student representatives. And I'm like, hey, I want us to have more students representing and have a greater voice of students on our board. So I started looking into ed code around that. That's why I'm bringing this board policy update. In researching the ed code around it, I also noticed that there was a recent update to ed code that now allows for students to be, specifically students are allowed to either be paid or receive elective credit or both. So that was the update that was recently made to ed code as it relates to student board members. So in updating the board bylaw 9150 around that, I did include that section. One thing that in this amendment that I'm presenting that I would like to change, and it was brought up by President Howe earlier, or someone, I think it was her, was the issue around the selection of the board members, the student board members, and that was the rotation. And so what I wanted to change is the situation where I indicated that they would be rotating between east and west of Highway 101. Initially, I think that was just a miscalculation by me where I didn't initially count Ridgeway in the calculation, so where I thought it was just 2 and 3 schools. So given that, what I wanted to amend in terms of the language that's presented, basically leaving the original rotation language, but eliminating the actual names of the schools. So for under the rotation section, just saying student representatives to the board shall be elected by rotation among, and then eliminating the school names, and then adding our, and then high schools. So eliminating the school names up into the word Santa Rosa. And then all that section that talks about the Highway 101 and all that, just eliminating that. So basically amongst the 6 high schools, the students would rotate, and the rationale for eliminating the names of the schools is tied to the work of the school consolidation committee, which we don't know what might come out of that. So by eliminating the actual school names, it would just rotate amongst our high schools, and we'd ensure that we would have 2 student representatives, and our AR would follow the process on how that selection goes. So those are the 2 basic changes. He's changing it from 1 to 2. Change to how the rotation is by eliminating the school names, and then the other part is adding the part that removing the word shall not for being paid to shall to coincide with ed code. So with that said, I'll open it up to questions, concerns. Trustee La Torre.
So thank you for bringing this information to the board. The ed code actually changed in January 2024. So, I mean, it's been changed all year, and we haven't had this discussion until now, till you brought it forward. And with our current budget constraints and our current inability to negotiate even an offer with classified, I think it's extremely insensitive to bring this forward and ask for a monetary compensation to be added at this time until our books are in order. So I am in full support of academic credit and multiple board students members, but I cannot with any integrity work on a proposal that provides monetary compensation at this time.
And I think the other thing that I like to add is, on that end, I was considering if maybe we added like an effective January of 2025 or something like that to that component of it. But I'll open it up for other questions, concerns. Trustee Manietti?
Not a question. I just want to thank you, President Medina, for bringing this up. I think often student representatives on boards, it feels really performative because they, on the part of the board, because they don't have the same kind of power as the regular board members. And so I appreciate that this change is allowing them to be on committees and to vote, to make motions. So I fully support this change and appreciate the thought into the representation between the two student board members who would be on the board. And I was going to have the same suggestion that you just mentioned with regard to compensation, that perhaps we don't provide the compensation effective immediately, that we can have conversations with our CSEA partners before we talk about compensation, but that we do consider it because it is an important way that we demonstrate value to our students and to our student board members. And often there are a lot of barriers to students participating on groups and boards like this. And a student might not put their name in the hat because they have so many barriers related to finances. And so I think this removes a really big barrier for student participation. It might increase the diversity of students we get on this board, and I'm all for that. And I think that there are ways that we can find solutions to some of the issues that we're hearing and facing.
And I think the other important thing to address is that who can serve and who can be compensated. And in that context, the idea that maybe how students would be compensated wouldn't take the form of payroll, where maybe we'll look at a scholarship or something, because for the example being undocumented students, they can't receive pay in the form of a paycheck. So maybe we modified how we paid students to some sort of scholarship at the end of the year when they graduate or something like that. So I just wanted to add that component. That's something that came up since this came on to the board. Yeah.
I told you all of my recusal around participating in this. If there is a change in the proposal, President Medina, to push it out to be effective in January 2025, then that would allow me to weigh in. And at least share my thoughts on this. So I'm just wondering, is that something that the board is thinking about, is open to?
I think, well,
So in all honesty, I think this is something that needs to be tabled until after this school year and into the summer. So we don't have a board member feeling the pressure of this discussion while they're trying to execute their duties. I have nothing but the utmost love and respect for Ome. He's an amazing human, but he's got a lot of ugliness thrown at him just because he's our board member and just because of who his mom is. That is undue and unnecessary. So I don't want to put that type of scrutiny on this position while we're trying to have this discussion. And I completely agree with Director Maneri that if we make this decision, it has to be made before students have an opportunity to apply for the position. Because when I was a student in high school, I had to work. I had a certain amount of money I needed to make to live my life. That's a barrier that may or may not be able to be removed, but students need to be able to have that decision, or they need recovery credits. But this would be an opportunity to recover some of those credits and get credits for the work they're doing on this board. So we need to be very careful with this type of bylaw. And I would like there to be some more research on, are there other boards that have adopted the policy since Ed Code changed in 2024? Are there multiple board members, student board members on boards? How are they being compensated? What does that look like? I'm not comfortable with putting it on salary on a student and a minor for this position as a stipend that has barriers in itself. So I would like some more research put into this and how others may be doing it and how it may look best moving forward. I think it's a good opportunity. I think it's a good discussion point. I just don't think we're at an action point yet where we should be voting on anything.
Trustee McNally?
I'm just wondering if it would be possible, rather than voting on this now and having the stipend not start until January, if instead we can revisit this later when we've settled with our CSEA partners and then potentially make it retroactive in the way that raises can be retroactive for our labor partners.
This is what I'm thinking right now. I'm thinking, so really quick, item F8 is tied to this because the change in this policy affects the F8 policy. So based on what I'm hearing right now, I think what I would like to do is if we could, for right now, eliminate the compensation part, bring that part later and approve the 2-student part. Because my hope would be that we get to work on bringing another student and that student would maybe be sworn in on December 11th with the new incoming board members. That would be my hope. And I think that with that timeline, we could potentially get that done. But just eliminating this compensation part and just editing the 2 students and the rotation part of that. How do people feel about that?
I think I would prefer for the second student board member to have the same opportunity as our current student board member. So not, bringing them on in December would only give them five months on this board. And I don't know that that's the full experience that we want them to have. So, I mean, it sounds like we don't have to make a super urgent decision right now. And there are maybe more pros to holding off on making this decision and not having to rush it. I think that we could definitely approve the bylaw minus the compensation piece, but I would still, I think, want the second student board member to start at the same time to be on the same schedule as our any other student board member.
Other comments? So would folks be, if we buy that as a direction for the future selection, because there's no timeline stuff in here as of right now, but if we were to do it with that understanding that it would be starting with the next academic year that we had 2 board members, folks be supportive of that without the pay part?
So the 2 board members, what is that changing for their the voting capacity? How does that look? So you can explain that a little better once.
How students vote? Well, student votes are always what's called preferential voting. So it doesn't impact the actual passing or non-passing of a motion. It's just them, they have a seat at the table to comment and indicate their support or lack of support for an item. But it's within Ed Code, it's called preferential voting.
And that didn't change in the Ed Code?
No, that didn't.
Okay. Yeah, I know the compensation thing changed. I just didn't know if the voting thing changed. I just wanted clarity on that because that's an important piece of the conversation.
And I'd just like to add that our student board members are also not bound by the same Brown Act rules that regular board members are held to.
And they also can't participate in closed session.
And that's key to know for community members that might see 2 board members out with 3 of us at lunch. That's a learning opportunity. Like, we're not talking about closed session things, but we can be talking about parliamentary procedure and our daily work lives and other things. that are educational attributes to the student board member. So this is good stuff to bring up and for the community and public to hear, because this isn't a decision that should be rushed. There's no timeline on it, but it's an important topic to talk about. And I want to make sure we make the right decision and we have the right time and the right information to move forward.
So if it's cool with folks, we'll consider this a first reading. I'll bring the requested changes to our next meeting as a second reading, and we'll go from there. Does that sound cool? Yeah. Good point. I forgot. Public comment. Let's see. I have Sarah Jenkins, followed by Jose Salazar, I think it is. You'll each have 3 minutes.
So I encourage you to rethink having 2 student board members. However, I am excited about more student collaboration across high schools. We all know kids don't always attend the schools they're slotted to, therefore location should not matter in the selection process of a singular student board member. By delineating east from west, you're further dividing the community instead of uniting it. Additionally, this creates an inappropriate 4-2 split. You already addressed that, thank you, of the schools. I'm hopeful with the Superintendent Student Council, we continue to get passionate applicants in the future. It would be wonderful to see more students attend these meetings as audience members and become involved in student government. In addition to that, there was talk about an alternate in there, which I am in full agreement. I encourage you guys to have like an alternate backup for when the student board member is not available. Being a student board member is an amazing educational opportunity to get behind the scenes view of local government. It is an educational opportunity, not a job. It holds no liability, limited voting rights, a very short term, and is not held to governing rules such as Brown Act. If meetings were to go until 9 p.m. each time, this request would have the student board member making over $89 an hour, while some classified staff are barely making minimum wage. I would quit my job tomorrow if I was a classified staff in this past. I also disagree about elective credit, as again, our cheerleaders get no school credit for the work they do, nor are students compensated for volunteer work done in the community. This is a great thing for a job and college resume, but is an after-school volunteer gig. I also encourage you to deny the allowance of student board members making motions, as this is, again, an educational opportunity. Students do not yet have the institutional knowledge for this to be effective. Voicing opinions to trustees and actively participating in discussion would be sufficient. If a student finds that they would like to pursue a 4-year elected role with the liability and being held accountable by the community following their less than a year seat, I encourage them to do so. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jenkins. Next, I have Jose Salazar, I think, or?
Yes, Salazar.
Okay.
Good evening. I just spoke, I wasn't planning on speaking. I just spoke for the summer school principal position, but I thought I'd just share some of my thoughts. I'm in my 29th year in education, and this is my 16th year as an elementary school PE teacher. I'm also the lead PE teacher. There are 6 of us, 6 elementary PE teachers, and I just wanted you guys to be aware that our total budget this year for equipment, I don't know if you guys know what it is. It's a total of $0. So we work at multiple sites. I work at Burbank, Monroe, Biela, and we don't have a budget. We were told there's no money for us to buy equipment for the elementary school kids during PE. I just wanted to go on and reiterate what some other people have talked about student athletes, band members, and how much commitment and effort they put in throughout the year. I used to coach high school football, and the kids work from January all through the spring semester, all through the summer time with strength and conditioning, and then throughout the season, it's Monday through Saturday. And if they go through the playoffs, as the season's obviously extended, there's a huge commitment, and they're not compensated for their time. The games start at 7 o'clock. I don't know if you've been to a high school football game. They last over, to like 10:30. We were at Montgomery one time, the lights went out. It was past 11 o'clock. We were still playing. The lights went out. So the football players, they're putting in a lot of, not just football players, but all student athletes. I just wanted to share that. Another thing, I also work with the JC. I've been part of the football coaching staff since 2019. This year I'm recruiting, but part of our recruitment we talk about is the financial aid process. And this is the main thing I wanted to share with you. If you pay a student during their senior year, it's going to affect their financial aid application process. They're going to be denied any financial aid because the 6,000 is going to exceed by far any financial need they will have. They will be not denied financial aid. If you're going to push this forward, I would say, like you said, a scholarship. Do not compensate them and pay them a stipend. It will affect them when they go to college and apply. So I think that's it.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you. I appreciate it. Have a good evening.
So bringing it back, I think we're all kind of clear with the what we're doing. Anybody have any additional questions or anything? No?
Do you need a motion?
No, it's just going to be a first reading for now, and we'll vote on it next meeting. So with that said, we'll move on to item F8. Let me bring that up. So let me look at this one real quick. And so reading it, it's bylaw 9250. In bylaw 9250, it's about remuneration, reimbursement, and other benefits. So again, here, this was to make the change of adding pupil member in the language throughout the document, in addition to the verbiage of regular member, which is what's used in ed code. I guess the question that I want to ask on this one, since we're going to remove the pay part, do we still want to keep the part about elective course credit, or should we bring that back to the conversation when we talk about pay?
I'd like to bring it back to conversation, have a little more research put into what that looks like and how we can present it to best protect the student and make it equitable for, like, as discussed tonight, all the students that are volunteering countless hours for the extracurriculars throughout the school year. So I just want to know a little more research on what that looks like and how we present it and provide it.
So I think the thing that I'd like to say is that I know one of the things that was mentioned was that, well, student board members shouldn't be paid because there's all these other students that do amazing work and essential work, and they're not paid. And, you know, I've been really active and engaged since a student in high school, at JC, at Sonoma State, and advocating for students has been something that I've done for a long time. And I think I'm strongly going to push for students to get paid, our student board members to be paid. That's not to say that all those other students shouldn't be paid, but I think it always starts somewhere. And, like, you know, if you're going to have a movement towards students getting paid, it starts somewhere. A movement starts somewhere, and it could start with our student board members, and then maybe grow from there. I think ultimately students have to advocate. And in my head, I sometimes still feel like a student because it's part of what's ingrained in me, even though I'm walking with a cane now and feel really old. But I just want that to be clear. I'm going to be advocating for this. In this coming up, you know, I've heard from the JC. JC says their trustee gets paid. I know the CSUs, their trustees get paid. And now our trustees have the ability to get paid. So I just want to advocate for that, and I'll be continuing to advocate as the conversation comes. Of course, we have limitations given our funds, but I'm always going to advocate for the most for the students. So if they can get paid and also get elective credits, why not? It's what I'd say. The conversation was had at the state level, and they support it, and they allow it, and I'm going to push for it. So I just want that to be clear with the board. Will it pass or not? I think we'll find out in time. I think that we'll bring it back But we do need to have the conversation as to how this could be done, if it's done in the scholarship form. I don't know the legalities or technical issues associated with that. Does the ed code allow for that? So I think that's legal questions that we need to ask, but we'll need clarity on that. Do other board members have questions or comments right now? Trustee Manieri?
Yeah, I would like to see this come back with language around a scholarship rather than a stipend due to inequities that could be created, unintended consequences for students who can't provide the proper information to fill out a W-9, because that is what would be needed if we went the stipend way. So I would like to see this come back with a scholarship option, not an option, but for that to be the option instead of a stipend. And likewise, I strongly believe that similar, I couldn't say it better than you just did, President Medina. This is also something that I strongly believe in. Our students should be compensated for their time. And like you said, it starts somewhere. And I just also want to mention that there are things that are within our control, and then there are things that are not within our control. Issues regarding credit and athletics, there are a lot of other forces at play, and it's a complicated system. And so some things are within our control and others are not. And this is something that is. And so if there's something that we can do about it, I'm all for it.
Trustee De La Torre?
When we look at credits, what I'd like to have some research done on is currently a student in high school can earn physical education credits by actively participating in a sport through that school. Are we allowed, or is there a path to provide government credits or elective government credits for a student board member that's sitting on this board during parliamentary procedure? Like, what does that look like? If we found a path with athletics, what's the path for a student board member to get the right credits? And then that answers the equity question. Like, it's a student board member sitting in this government entity, these are the credits they earned.
I don't know the specific language around the sports, but I think that allows for PE credit. I'm not sure. But I know that the language for this is specific to elective credits. So it's not government per se, it's the language in Ed Code says elective credits. So I don't know if that could be interpreted as a government or not, but that's what the Ed Code language says. Did you?
Yes, I believe it's actually that they get credit as if they participated in PE. It's not necessarily actual credits on their transcript, but actually credit for that. I would have to defer to Dr. Castro if he has any specifics on that, or we can bring the information back. But I believe it waives the requirement for that second year.
That's correct. Okay. So it waives the PE requirement for graduation, but doesn't eliminate, but the credits needed to graduate are still the same. Okay. The other thing that's come up in this discussion that's been brought to my attention is the example of students working in the cafeteria. They could choose to either be paid or receive credit. And so I have asked for more information on our policies around that. So hopefully I receive more information so that, you know, we don't create any inequity on that level. But I just wanted to be transparent about that. So we'll go really quickly to public comments and then we'll return to the board. So I have Sarah Jenkins again, followed by Scott Kincaid. Sarah?
People here. So again, the insensitivity to the classified staff is just blaring. With a student population around 15,000, Ed Code 35120A4 says board member compensation not to exceed $400 per month. I do understand the caveat with 5% each year. However, the 536 should be walked back for regular board members of the board to $400 until we're out of the red and not financially compensate a student board member. A pupil member is excluded from the 2 hours each meeting of closed session, excluded from legal liability, excluded from community standards, excluded from Brown Act, and let's not forget the youth brain is not fully developed until around 25 years old. The compensation is a line on a resume, a job application, college application, acquired knowledge from an amazing, unique experience, and a better understanding of the system to make better informed choices and life decisions in the future. Financial compensation would set a risky precedent. Although I do agree with the scholarship idea, it seems like it kind of covers all of the bases. I also continue to strongly encourage you not to award elective course credit as a board policy. This is no different than volunteering in the community. Student board members should be able to discuss this on a case-by-case basis with their individual teachers, maybe request extra credit. In addition, with the post as it was, I see the value in attending seminars and conferences for student board members, and I don't know how that is currently set up. However, I caution on reimbursing of expenses at the same rate of a regular board member. I kind of liken it to a travel sport. The student can fundraise to offset the cost to the individual and their family, whereas an adult may need those funds reimbursed to allow them the continued education opportunity to best serve their community while trying to keep a roof over their family's head and food on their table. A lesson our community is learning right now is restriction of funds, spending smart, and being resourceful with established connections. If the board moves forward with the continuous frivolous spending, we're teaching the youth to spend money they don't have. And as the Board of Education, I'm hopeful that you see the problem in this. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jenkins. Good to get some insight as to your positions once you come serve on in December. I think something that for me is very important to share is that a lot of my advocacy is from the student perspective is fighting ageism. I think hearing this idea that because you're young, you're not worth as much, that your ideas don't count, regardless of how developed your brain is. It's really insulting to me. And as a student leader, that was something that you always had to fight. And I always tell students, you aren't only a student, you're also a teacher. You bring your experience and your life to the table. You have something to teach. Everybody can learn from each other. And I think that's always important to share. So hearing comments like that really irritate me. And I think the other component, I don't know everybody's story, but I think understanding poverty and understanding that not everybody has the same type of privilege and understanding the need of many students and people, I really see this is very important. And I'm totally cognizant of the issue with our classified staff and how this might not seem as the best timing. But to me, it's always important to be talking about everything in a timely period. I think for me, it was important to bring, and it's important to be honest, is to bring this at this time because this passed in January of 2024. We had already not taken action, and to me, addressing it sooner meant that we could address the issue within. We've already lost months where a student could have potentially been paid. So that was my motivation for bringing it now. I thought it was important to have the conversation. I can't have the conversation on my own, and it needs to be done with you all. So I hear everybody, and I'm glad that I'm hearing, but that's where the motivation comes. But again, I'll be fighting for this, and I'll bring this back, hopefully with more conversation around the elective credit. So just real quick, I'm not sure if I know where everybody stands. Are we good with maybe potentially moving forward with just the credit component for students or not?
I would like more information on what that looks like, what it would constitute. And so there is a difference, like we had talked about with athletics. You waive the necessity to take PE for your second year, the requirement, but so it says elective credits. What do those mean? Are those adding credits to the transcript? I'd like more information on exactly what that means and then how we would best present that to our student board members so it makes sense. It's unclear. It's pretty vague in the ed code update. And I want to know how we're interpreting that and how we would implement it so I can have some more information on what I would vote on.
So like how many credits it would be and where they would fall on the transcript type of thing? Okay, you got that? Okay. Any other questions? Okay.
I completely appreciate your passion and I understand the need to start somewhere, but we are in financial dire straits and now it's just not the time. So we will continue to advocate and talk and have these conversations on both sides, but I will not agree to compensation until we have a clear path on what that looks like and how it's going to best serve the student equitably.
So if I can just clarify the items to bring back, is there a path to provide elective government credit like PE credit? Is it the same? Is it illegal to pay student board members in the form of a scholarship as opposed to, or is it legal to pay student board members in the form of a scholarship as opposed to a stipend? And how are other boards compensating students for serving? And an idea of how many?
And I think also clarity on the, like the sample of the cafeteria worker, like why do they have to choose one or the other versus why can't they receive both?
In
Yeah, but in the context of
for comparison. Okay, thank you.
anything that y'all think was missed, Trustee McNally?
I'm also wondering about requirements to receive the credit if we go that route, like certain number of meetings attended, like do they need to also attend conferences, professional development? Is there some kind of assessment to determine if they've really earned the credit?
And I imagine maybe the number of credits might be determined based off instructional minutes, and I don't know if there's a calculation tied to that. So maybe that's something to consider. Anything else? If not, we'll move on the agenda and have this be brought back. So next, we will move on to item, let's see, if I can get a motion on items G1 through G7.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Trustee De La Cruz, seconded by Trustee La Torre. Vote, please.
Student Board Member Sininga.
Aye.
Trustee De La Cruz.
Aye.
Trustee De La Torre.
Aye.
Trustee McNally.
Aye.
Trustee Manieri.
Aye.
President Medina.
Aye. Thank you. Now we will move on to item G8, approval of a district athletic director stipend. Trustee La Torre, yes for this to be pulled. The floor is yours.
Thank you. I just asked for this to be pulled for a little more transparency. Whenever we are talking about compensation, I want a little more clarity on what specifically this is, where this is coming from, and what kind of hits we're taking, especially when we were dealing with the financial conversations we're having. So I just saw, the stipends on here. Is this a new position? Is this for hours? Like, if I can get a little more clarity on what this is and where this money's coming from, I'd appreciate that.
Oh, okay. Thanks for the question. A lot of, most of the surrounding districts we have actually have several athletic directors, or they have additional periods for athletic directors. We don't have any of that. We actually don't have an athletic director. Last year we had Mr. Thompson as a separated position dedicated to extracurricular activities. And one of the tasks that he had was actually getting his head around some of that work was associated with athletics. Now that that position's been eliminated, he is the vice principal of Pioneer High School, but he is holding on to some of the work that he was doing to support both middle school and high school sports. It's over 100 teams. And so when he moved into that position, Superintendent Turnell offered him an additional stipend to continue to support that work. That's what that is. It's not a full position. It's a stipend to cover the additional hours to support the middle and high school principals with that work that he continues to do. In terms of the actual resource, that would be something that I think Associate Superintendent August has identified.
And I will have to look to, we did identify, I believe, a restricted resource for this year to make sure that we were able to continue with this. The issue on the flip side is the liability piece of it. That is one of the large pieces of what he has been coordinating and the reason that we felt that it was necessary to continue. So I
totally
I
left
do
that
want
out.
to, yeah.
Sorry.
It was more than a conversation as far as Superintendent Trinnell saying, here is a stipend. It was actually about the compliance piece, making sure that we are having our concussion management protocols, that we are having the coordination with our healthcare providers and our.
Yeah, I can add to that.
Thank you.
When he came on board, one of the things that I had noticed when I started is that we did not have, we were completely out of compliance with respect to whether or not we knew whether or not the individuals that were supporting our teams were volunteers or actually had, were cleared, whether we had concussion protocols, whether we had all our rosters and students properly cleared and individuals that were working with students properly cleared as well. We don't have the personnel to actually manage that. Like I said, we have over 100 teams that we have. If you could look at all the high schools, and we're still trying to build up some of our middle schools to have intramurals as well. So he got his head around all of that as part of the work that he did last year. And this summer, he made sure that all of those concussion protocols and all of the work of getting all of the students cleared before the school year started going as well. So thank you very much, Saugus, for reminding me of that. That's the compliance component was a big part of making sure that work continued. But since he's back at the school site, Superintendent Trinnell offered him that so that he could continue doing that work after school.
Trustee La Cruz?
One of the requests for information that I made earlier this year was to understand the wage scale for coaches. They're all over the place throughout our district. And I wondered, is this part of the responsibility of the athletic director?
That report is complete. I believe he shared it last year. But he had a full report on that, and I can actually share it. That's complete. It had a full analysis on that. It was one of the projects that he completed last year.
Excellent. I would love to get a copy
Yeah,
if I
and
missed
it's
that.
interesting because he found that there actually is very little guidance from CIF with respect to establishing like baselines in terms of how many players on a team and everything like that. So people usually just end up going with an acceptable number. But yeah, we have that report. Yeah.
So are you saying we no longer have athletic directors at each high school?
No.
And when did that go away?
Well, we had one. I mean, we don't have like a full-time athletic director.
I'm not talking about a district athletic director. I'm talking about site ADs
We
that
have
take care of their camp.
individuals. Yeah, we have individuals at the high school level that will have like a period assigned, an additional time that they're assigned. The work is a lot more than that, and than the additional periods that the individuals have.
I completely understand that, and I'm struggling with this number because the position collapsed. We couldn't afford it, so we removed that position. Ryan's got a full-time vice principal position at Pioneer High School, and he's compensated for that. This stipend is asking to compensate for additional resources we were asking for him to provide in his former position. At the minimum, is it a 10-month stipend? Is it a 12-month stipend? If there's a 10-month stipend, we're talking about $930 a month for additional work that's being done.
I don't. It's a level. Was it level 9? I think it is, or.
So it is, he actually works year round on it. So we
Yeah.
do have during the summer, the majority of our athletic directors are not working. And he was working all of the summer, coordinating all of the activities, the required compliance pieces.
So just to clarify, because I'm not clear, here it talks about the financial impact being equivalent to extra duty pay of a class 10. So this 9,137.88, that's annual.
Yes.
Okay.
I imagine it's not something that's going to survive. I mean, our district is not competitive in this area at all. I mean, I set up a number of activities last year for us to like draw students, and like we lose students to every other district because our sports programs, we just can't keep up. So, I mean, even one more year, if we were able to keep this, we'll be able to maintaining some sports, but this is not an area that we're going to be able to grow in until we bring more students some other way. So,
I think just one thing, and this just happens to be coincidental. This Tuesday, I was at Elsie Allender in a staff appreciation lunch, and just sitting there listening to teachers chat, talking about their football, and they got a win, and they were doing good, and the kids were excited, and the students were really getting engaged, and it was really nice to see that spirit building back up in the school. So I mean, it's sad to hear this stuff might not continue, but it's really good to see the impact of growth in programs. They were talking about more engagement from the students and looking at needing to go from 9-player to 11-player. I mean, these were all things that I heard just that day as the teachers were talking and interacting. So I think there's value in it because it keeps the students engaged and active.
especially students that are right there at the cusp, those 2.0 students, absolutely, yeah.
And sorry,
Bless you.
bless you. Sorry, for clarification, it looks like some information, thank you, Ms. Desideri, that we have at our high schools a .2 assignment
Yeah,
for
it's
AD
one period, yeah.
and a stipend. So they receive both.
And we have nothing at the middle school level. They've been asking for it, and yeah.
I'm not hearing a lot of confidence on why we're doing this and how this is going to maintain itself, especially with these increases over 3 years. And we're in a position where we have CSE classified lowest paid in our district asking for more money. Are any of them willing to coordinate and work for any of the stipend? Like a vice principal gets paid a lot more than our janitorial staff. And we're giving him an additional stipend to do the job that he knows and he knows well and he was educated in and he does it thoroughly. But this is just financial times are tight right now. And this is a big chunk to ask for us to approve for additional services that unfortunately we had to cut that position due to our finances.
Yeah, I understand. I think I think the entire sports program and athletics program understands this is like the last thing we were trying to hold on to. In addition to there was a small amount of money that was given to the middle schools to try to get some sports, get some legs under some sports at the middle schools. They were given, I think, $2,000 each in the LCAP, and we allotted $15,000 to the high schools each. But yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. This is one area we're really struggling in. Yeah.
So with that said, is there a motion to approve the proposed for district athletic director stipend?
I'd like to move to approve the assistant superintendent stipend for serving as an athletic director. It's a really critical function in our school systems that keeps a lot of kids healthy and safe and connected.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved by trustee La Cruz, seconded by trustee McNally. Any discussion? If not, let's go to the vote.
Student Board Member Zuniga,
Aye.
Trustee De La Cruz,
Aye.
Trustee McNally,
Aye.
Trustee De La Torre,
No.
Trustee Manieri,
Aye.
President Medina.
Aye. The vote is 4-1 with one preferential vote by the student. The motion carries. Let's move on to item G9, approval of a car allowance for the district's communications coordinator / public information officer. Trustee De La Torre, you brought this.
Again, for me, this is just some clarity because it's worded like this makes things a little cleaner. But since it's finances and we're changing how this works, I just want a little clarity so the community knows what changes we're trying to make to streamline things better for our staff.
Thank you. And yes, these are expenses that are already being experienced. The staff that is just currently required to submit travel reimbursements. And so this does align with the others in cabinet as far as that it's included in our contract as far as a stipend for traveling between school sites within our district.
And I think I'll add that, I think my understanding is that it's an immensely complicated, time-consuming process for processing all of these, and that by going to a stipend, we're becoming more efficient and potentially saving money. Is what my understanding has been.
Yes,
Trustee La
that
Cruz?
would be accurate as far as the efficiency.
Yeah, I would say reducing the paperwork and then the processing the paperwork and the cutting of the check, like that saves a lot of money. I'm wondering, did we track this amount, the monthly amount, with the kind of driving that we see this position doing?
No, we have not done a mile for mile comparison over the last several years. It is in alignment with the same as what others in cabinet do receive for the travel. And as far as the communications coordinator and the executive assistant, I would say that their travel may outstrip ours as.
Thank you.
I think the other thing that I'd like maybe staff to come back with as well is, I think I saw in the SRTA analysis that maybe there's other positions within the district that potentially this benefit might help just by eliminating all that paperwork and making it easier. So if we could maybe look at that as well for other possible positions, it might be good to do some sort of analysis. Other board questions? Seeing none, is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by trustee La Torre, seconded by trustee La Cruz. Let's go to the vote.
Student Board Member Zuniga,
Aye.
Trustee De La Torre.
Aye.
Trustee De La Cruz,
Aye.
Trustee McNally,
Aye.
Trustee Manieri,
Aye.
President Medina.
Aye. Moving on to item G10, approval of a car allowance for district's executive assistant to superintendent. Again, I defer to you, trustee La
And
Torre.
I pulled this for the same reason as 9, and I think we got a good explanation. We're able to talk that through. So I had nothing further on this.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by trustee La Torre. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by trustee Manieri. Discussion, none, to the vote, please.
Student Board Member Zuniga,
Aye.
Trustee De La Torre,
Aye.
Trustee Manieri,
Aye.
Trustee De La Cruz,
Aye.
Trustee McNally,
Aye.
President Medina.
Aye. Now we will move on to item H1, approval of the minutes for our, let's see, oh my God, I lost the date.
September 11th.
September 11th.
Oh, so moved.
Board meeting.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Moved by trustee La Cruz, seconded by trustee De La Torre. Let's go to the vote.
Student Board Member Zuniga,
Aye.
Trustee De La Cruz,
Aye.
Trustee De La Torre,
Aye.
Trustee McNally,
Aye.
Trustee Manieri,
Abstain.
President Medina.
Aye. Thank you. I was just trying to make sure we had enough votes for that. Board member request for information. Trustee La Torre.
Can I request if we get some more information on equitable grading policies? I know there was a workshop done by SCO that some of our teachers attended over the summer, and there is another workshop being done in November. And I'd be really interested in getting some more information on what that is and what it looks like and how we are or are not participating.
Any others? Seeing none, let's go to our attached information items. I point out F4, facilities project update, F5, the update to the school safety plans from our last meeting that includes the principal signatures. F6 is our county registrar of voters letter regarding the trustee area elections, indicating that we don't have to have an election for our areas, given that all 4 positions were unopposed, and list the name of the individuals that are being will be coming onto the board through acclamation. And then item 7 is go call for nominations for representatives to the Sonoma County Committee on School District Organization. Is there any final comments before we adjourn?
Thank you very much for the opportunity to serve. And just thank you to all who are still with us online and in our audience.
Thank you, Lisa.
And we didn't have to extend the meeting. Meeting adjourned.